If there's anything related to stewardship, then Eileen takes that on. And so all of this is integrated together. Sorry, that was kind of a long.
No, it was great. It's really awesome. And so does that, it gives like a monthly snapshot, or is it real time, or how is it fed?
It's real time. So
Okay.
part of it is, again, getting back to, not to, keep using this cliche, but the partnerships. So we do get like the RevPAR and TOT and all of that from the city, and then we put that onto the portal. But then the statistics for social media, website, whether it be PR, all of those things, we're pollinating that on the portal as well. So, and I just want to emphasize that it's not just for property owners. This is for city council members, for the city manager, for city staff. So, and it is all in real time. So anytime anybody wants to see something or check on a campaign, they'll have that ability to do that.
That's great. One more question. In terms of working with destinations, and it's hopefully you don't have to do it a lot, but PR, crisis management, is that something you guys have done and would step in to do if anything were to happen on the PR side?
Yes, we are intimately involved in that. I will be, honest with you, that if there is a crisis, we start with the city and find out how much involvement they want us to have, but we sort of brainstorm and talk about what we're going to be doing. And so, yes, but we do crisis management. Obviously with COVID and all of the other things that occurred, that's really kind of the role we took over from kind of stopped on marketing for a while, and then we basically went into the PSA and letting people know what they could and couldn't do, when they visited the city.
Great. Those were all my questions. Thank you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
I have hi, this is David. I have a question. Just one of our biggest challenges from my perspective is midweek. Weekends are really pretty good, but I just wonder if you have some thoughts on strategies that you could help us with to improve our midweek traffic and midweek business.
Right. So, that's a very similar situation to our current clients. Pismo Beach experiences the same thing. Avila, come July, we're pretty much 100% full. Not only on the weekends, but also during the week. But in the off season and in the shoulder season, that's where we need the customers. So those lodging specials are a key part of that. So when we basically talk to the lodging industry, they provide their specials, and if they don't provide it, then we actually go to their website and take them off their website. So we direct people to come during the off season and to get a better deal. And that's one reason why we emphasize those lodging specials. We also develop packages. There's co-op opportunities. And again, the demographics of who we choose. So in the off season, we look at targeting empty nesters, people who have grown children. They can travel midweek. They might be retired, so they can come during the middle of the week. They can come in the off season. And so that's one of the ways that we do that. But we recognize how important it is to get that midweek and off-season traveler.
What, Max Hamburg, what untapped opportunities do you see for Solvay?
Pardon me?
What untapped opportunities do you see for Solvay?
Well, I think that, you guys have done a very good job over, many, many decades of promoting the destination. But as I alluded to initially, I think even exposing the wine industry even more so, I think is very important. I think that the heritage and the culture of the Chumash, not just the casino, but the history and some of the things, I know the news center that you're going to be coming up with, things like that, we would promote as a part of a stewardship program. Just the scenic beauty, coming out of COVID, people really want to just get away, they want to relax, they want to just sort of recharge. And I think Solvang is a perfect opportunity for that because of the sheer beauty that surrounds that very sunny field.
John Martino, how many hotel rooms do you have in Pismo?
Rick, you probably know the answer to that.
The purpose of my question is we have about 750, close, 725, 750 in Solvay. So that's what we depend on for our TOT.
Yeah, from what I can figure out, your TOT is about half of Pismo Beach right now. We have We have we have 2,000 rooms
Oh, okay. Yeah.
that are putting in TOT.
Well, that's,
We get TOT from the RV parks and from vacation rentals also.
And
thank you.
committee, just to, if you want to allow a little bit more time, but we want to be fair to all the teams, it's 4:04 right now, and the next team is already
Okay.
up with us.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I saw all these people and thought I got a whole new staff.
All right, well, thank you, TGA Consulting. We'll be in touch with you very shortly.
Okay, well, thank you, we appreciate the opportunity very
Thank
much.
you.
I'm very sincere about that.
Thank you.
Good luck, Abby.
Next
Thank
up,
you. Okay, bye.
next up, we have the Abbey Agency.
Sorry for crashing in.
No, you were right on time.
I had to join Angela because I couldn't hear her on my computer.
Okay, Abby, if you want to take us through your presentation, and then
Yeah,
we'll dive
absolutely.
into
Okay,
questions.
we'll kind of get started. I'll kick it off, and then each team member is going to talk individually about their kind of strategic approach. You guys did tell us to focus more on kind of introducing ourselves and who we are, not to go back over the proposal. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. So thank you guys so much. We're sorry we could not be there in person. We were able to drop off the RFP in person, which was awesome, but I'm sorry that we couldn't be there today. But we have the team here that would work on your account. As you guys know, the Abbey Agency is a fully integrated marketing communications agency with a definite specialty in travel tourism, specifically with California destinations. So we are super excited to be here and kind of kick this off. All right, next slide. All right, this is us. Hello. That up front is Ty and myself. Ty is the CEO of the Abbey Agency, and I am the president. He handles all of the business stuff. I love to work on all the strategy and the bigger picture stuff, helping to bring these tourism campaigns to life. And my favorite part, visiting the destinations. Angela and I are on an immersion tour right now, which is why we're kind of together. Couple things about us. We are a certified B Corp. What does that mean? It's a benefit corp. It means we value people, planet, and profit equally in the same. And our community is something that is really important to us, as well as valuing the people in it and the responsibilities that we have as destination marketers to those destinations. So very proud of that certification and excited to kind of bring that philosophy to you guys. Next slide. All right, so we understand California travel. I know you guys had a chance to go through the RFP and you've seen some of our work. We don't only understand travel, but we understand economic development as well, right? Travel is, for many places, especially Solvang, I would say, economic development and travel tourism go hand in hand. You know, having the agency grow up in Nevada gave us a unique kind of perspective for that as well. So understanding the landscape and how that works into economic development. We're Nevada based. We have employees based in California as well. We have some of those guys here today. We have a pretty good West Coast reach and 45 employees total, all on the team, which means that we're able to execute quickly, efficiently, on budget and on strategy. And we've won a lot of awards, you know, some Poppies, things like that, some Hermes Awards, some big ones and everything for our clients. So those awards are for you guys, and we do know that results-driven work loves to get recognized, and that's something that we are really proud of as a kind of mid-size agency.
Awesome,
Right.
thanks Abby. Hello, Solvang team. Again, I'm Ty Whitaker, the CEO of the Abbey Agency. I work with a lot of the directors within the agency just to assure client success and overall account success. And just to add to some of the things Abby said, I just wanted to remind you guys all that the Abbey Agency leads with being an agency that is a white glove service. We like to create partnerships. We believe that it's very important to not just have this client consultant relationship. We love to get in and immerse ourselves into the destination and really create that true partnership with that particular destination. we rely heavily on research and data to make our decisions. And we have a lot of experience working with boards and committees, such as your guys' self. And here is a slide of some of our current and past clients. And as you can see, there are some destinations in here, and also food and beverage, because we really truly understand, like Abby had mentioned, that economic driver that is so closely tied into all these travel and tourism destinations. And I'm going to pass it off to the team members. Thanks.
Thanks, Ty, and we'll start off with Ashley and the brand managers.
Hi. I'm Ashley Bear. I'm part of the brand management team you see here that would work on the account. Our role is to bring the agency's expertise in marketing and travel and tourism trends to the table. We work in lockstep with your team to clearly define the overarching goals and objectives to help showcase Solvang, drive visitation, and become a distinct destination. Along with being your dedicated point of contact for day-to-day account needs, you can switch to the next slide. We manage internal and communications, the agency departments, and ensure that all integrated projects execute per the deadlines, meet all key performance indicators for each department, as you can see on the slide here, and all are within budget and scope. From here, we'll shift to several of our expert team members on the call with us today. They're going to take a moment, introduce themselves, and talk about their strategic approaches.
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, Solvang. I'm Tyson Kewall, Creative Director here at the Abbey Agency and partner. I've been here for over 7 years now and have, I think, worked on every tourism and destination account that we've had, and I have a lot of pride with that. Some in your neck of the woods, Morro Bay, Murrieta, and Goleta down there as well. I specialize on identity build, campaign development, video and photo production, and I help lead these 7 wonderful individuals here, designers and copywriters alike, and I'll pass it to David, who's my counterpart on the call.
Thanks, Tyson. Yeah, I'm David Bunker. I'm the Director of Creative Content. I've also had an opportunity to work with a wide range of California travel destinations. A lot of the ones Tyson mentioned, we've worked hand in hand on those. And the content side of the creative team really works. Anna and I, we really work from ideation all the way through the campaign concept and then through campaign content execution. Wanted to just speak for a moment about our creative process. Everything, of course, starts with research and discovery. That's really where we listen and learn about the destination. So the research side of it is that real analytical side, of course, making sure we understand the marketing performance data, audience information, all the data and analytics that really guide our strategy. And then discovery is really where we explore kind of the texture, the feel, the culture, the stories of the destination, the things that really drive compelling destination travel campaigns. The second piece of it is that immersion trip. You know, it's where we really get to be inside the destination, uncovering kind of the deeper stories, the layers of meaning, these authentic details, and then the personalities that make Solvang or any destination such a special place. And that's really what brings the creative campaign to life.
Great, David. And from phases 1 and 2, we move into phase 3. We know that Solvang has semi-recently come up with a new brand identity, but there were talks about helping it get further. That would be in this phase, finalizing your logo, working with what you have or help getting it to wherever you guys dream, building out a brand guideline, so like a blueprint to your visual brand, color palette, fonts, photography, textures, patterns, all the visual works. And then you see tagline in here because we'll start to play with, messaging and content here. And that would move us into phase 4, into the campaign phase. I know you all had a chance to look at the RFP and see our 3 approaches with what time we had. David and I had a great time working on some of those concepts for you. And those are concepts that we could help flesh out. Or also I know that the previous agency had put together a campaign too, and you wanted us to kind of pick up where they left off or help get that further, we could do that just to make those dollars stretch. Video photography, those are things we can come in and help with. Obviously, we'd love to dig through your archives and use what you have, again, making your money stretch there. And then our last components of the campaign are building it out. And I have integrated asset production here, and that's not just print and digital, but when I say integrated, that's coming up with, you know, a toolkit for our social team to use. You know, we take our messaging and we turn it into pitch line for PR, and that gets turned into SEO, search word banks, and really gets us into a fully integrated approach on our campaigns. And speaking of media buy, I'll pass it to Julian so he can introduce his team.
Thanks, Tyson. How is everyone? I'm Julian Talent. I am the Director of Digital Marketing at the agency, and I have heavy experience in the hospitality and travel industry. Our job on the paid media team is to carefully craft campaigns that will resonate with clients' needs to the users' wants. We work with clients to set measurable goals and objectives, identify those target audiences, determine budgets, and establish KPIs. And here's part of my team on the call, Henry.
Thanks, Julian. Hi, I'm Henry. It's nice to meet you all. I'm a digital strategist, and I'm heavily involved with both the data analysis and strategy development so that we ensure that our paid media campaigns are optimized and efficient from start to finish, so we really get the most bang for the buck and really make an impact. And I'll pass it back to Julian to talk about our team's approach a little bit more.
Perfect. To add on, our paid media strategy involves a media mixes around traditional and digital tactics with our advanced tech stack and our tools to understand markets and current climates. Furthermore, we aim beyond the data tables by bringing the data to life. In our experience, we find that paid media strategies are best paired with organic approaches, which introduces me to Angela.
Thanks, Julian. Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Rudolph. I'm the Digital Content Manager here at the Abbey Agency. I head up our social media team, and I have with me Cassandra Taloma, who I will let introduce herself real quick.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Cassandra Taloma. I'm a digital content specialist here. I help support Angela with creating social strategies and creating content for our clients, especially those in the hospitality, tourism, and government industries. I'll hand it back over to Angela to dive deeper into how we approach our strategy.
Thanks, Cass. So we will be your team for Solving, and here with social media, we truly love to integrate all different aspects of everything that we're working on. So we take the pieces from the creative team, we create content that is keyword driven, and we really focus on creating authentic content, both with original photography and videography, and by activating user-generated content to give people that inspirational and aspirational feel that will make them want to come to the destination over and over again. So our social media strategy and approach is always research driven, and then we are constantly checking those metrics and analytics and pivoting where needed to have the most impact as possible. We focus on that customer engagement, and we use the brand image and reputation management with all of the content that we create, so that we're making sure that we're hitting all of those marks for you in order to generate leads. Here is Caroline.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline Sexton. I am the VP of Digital Strategy at the Abbey Agency and a partner as well. I've been with the agency for almost 7 years and have led the development of numerous award-winning travel and tourism website development projects. Below are just a couple of our team members. We have a robust team of user experience experts. When it comes to the full digital experience, we have designers, front-end and back-end developers, as well as inbound marketing specialists. We understand that there's a complex decision process taken by any traveler before they arrive at a destination, and that there are numerous touch points that are needed to attract, engage, and delight those travelers in order to grow that audience for a destination. We know that your website is also the best way to give users their first experience of your destination. and really believe that your website is also the cornerstone of any marketing campaign. It really gives us the best opportunity to understand how potential visitors travel and make their decisions and convert and actually show up at a destination. So we really help to bring our full marketing campaign together through data, owned data on our own platforms, and really help to provide some key performance indicators of success for our other service outreach initiatives like PR. I'll kick it off to Liz with PR.
Great, thank you, Caroline. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Bowling. I am the Vice President of Public Relations for the Abbey Agency. And Solvang's public relations team will consist of myself, Allie Williams, Danny Hanna, and Taylor Cahoon. And all of us specialize in travel tourism, public relations, and destination storytelling. For Solvang, our team will highlight key messages from brand creative in our outreach. We will leverage your media buy for added value placements and ensure that social media, digital content, and pitch themes are all integrated. Our job is to earn placements that not only inspire travel to Solvang, but also connect back to your website so potential visitors are met with engaging trip planning ideas. We use personalized pitches to reach specific media outlets that align with your target audience. And one of our immediate goals will be to pitch storylines that increase length of stay. We talked a lot about that in our proposal, but we wanted to really take those day trippers from LA and convert them into overnight visitors. And we can do that with earned media. So some of our creative outreach tactics include pitch talks and virtual desk sides. Right now, I'd like to introduce Allie and Danny, who are going to tell us who they pitch and what that might sound like. Allie and Danny, take it away.
Awesome, thank you, Liz. Hi, Solvang, I'm Allie. I'm a senior PR manager with the Abbey Agency. So we would start by really targeting your drive markets. Those journalists like Mary Forgion with the LA Times or Chris Ross with the San Diego Union Tribune. And as personal fans of the destination, I was just there last fall for my mom's birthday. We know that we have a great opportunity to get really creative.
Hi Solvang, I'm Danny Hanna. I'm an account manager here at the Abbey Agency. And picking up where Allie left off, from there we really continue to pitch those brand building publications such as Travel and Leisure or Sunset Magazine, positioning Solvang as a standalone destination. These pitches are curated through our nurtured relationships with these journalists, paired with unique tactics such as TikTok videos and captivating headlines, some of which include
3, picture perfect days in Solvang.
A fairy tale in SoCal, experience happily ever after in Solvang, California.
International travel is so 2019. This Denmark-inspired destination is right in sunny California.
Move over Napa. This Danish escape has over 120 wineries in one destination.
An architect's dream. Historic Scandinavian aesthetics all influence this tiny town.
Clogs and craft cocktails take over Solvang after dark.
So as you can see, this is just a small sample of some of the storylines we would pitch. There are so many that we actually came up with when we were brainstorming, and with us as your team, we are super excited to bring these to life. So with that, we are happy to take any questions, and thank you again so much for letting us be with you today.
Thank you, Liz. So just to kind of wrap up our quick presentation, we really wanted to show you guys how we as an integrated agency are able to kind of pull, the creative campaign goes into the social campaign, goes into the web campaign, and sometimes the PR campaign can lead it all, because those pitches were awesome, ladies. We tend to, we do bring a lot of excitement and energy to any account, and definitely a senior team, as you guys saw, that are experts in every vertical that we need to have a robust, integrated, tourism-driven marketing campaign. So thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question. This is David. I have a question. Just maybe you could give us some thoughts about how we address midweek. Midweek business for us is one of our challenging spots. Weekend business is naturally busy, but midweek can be hit or miss. Any thoughts you might have to help us with that?
I can kind of start out, and then I'll kick it over to Liz, because she comes from the internal side, from you guys' side, from North Lake Tahoe, and I'm sure has some thoughts on that. Midweek is always a challenge, which is why sometimes we understand that LA is a big market for you guys, right? We know that, we're gonna focus on that, but we also think we should focus a little bit on some of those other markets, maybe a Northern California market, Bay Area, Sacramento, a Las Vegas market, even a Phoenix market. We have a lot of people road tripping now, right? We know that that's a big thing for Visit California, their road trips. We know that road trips are more cost effective right now because sometimes people are not flying. So really, they're taking to their cars and they're heading through. And that means we have an opportunity to really capture them with midweek. So I think it is really telling the different pillars of the story, all the different things that you have to do that can't be done in maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days, right? Pushing people toward that midweek stay by letting them know kind of what's there, and then really targeting some of those different geographic regions that we know, different geographic regions and different types of personas that are not just traveling on the weekend. Liz, I can kick it over to you.
Great, thank you, Abby. And so the only thing that I would add to that, well, 2 things, is groups and meetings are coming back. And so while that was completely decimated through COVID, we are starting to see big corporations and groups really meet together again. And so what we would want to do is harness that and talk about all the different things that people would want to do and explore as a corporate group in Solvang, knowing that you have some pretty big feeder markets. We tap into them. Another thing that we do, we have to tell people that this is not just a day trip, that we want to show them through social media videos or storylines that we pitch, in-market journalists that we would bring, that this is a 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 day destination that they can spend time in. We probably start in that smaller time frame, but that's how we would do it. We would bring journalists in really from that consumer perspective and look at 3 days in Solvang and as a Sunset Magazine feature, but also really look into that groups and meetings business. I love leisure travel. I'm a huge proponent of it, and so tapping into that audience and telling them, here's a place that you can have your corporate meeting and stay a few days after to explore is something that we'd really target and go after.
We could even look at midweek as the secret season, right? We know you guys are busy on the weekend. Some of our other destinations, like Carmel by the Sea, are very busy on the weekends, right? So a lot of people don't want that, right? They're looking for more of that secret, that undiscovered. There could be a campaign that exists on social PR creative that talks about the secret season of Solvang, and it's not even a season. You can have it every time. It's just Monday through Thursday. So I think with some real creative thinking, some good PR and social integrations, and touching on those meetings, that we could definitely start to talk to people about why midweek is the best week.
Deals too, working with your hotel partners if they're offering midweek deals to make sure that those are not only shared on social media, on your website, but they're pitched to journalists as well.
How are you going to be different from our DMO that is Visit Santa Ynez Valley, because they already do the Sunset, they do the travel leisure. How are you going to be different? Are you going to go ahead and partner with them? What is your plan?
Yeah, well, we are great at partnering with larger organizations, and we are great at being a big voice and an advocate for our clients within those larger destinations. So one thing that we found journalists love, I'll use Morro Bay as an example, right? SLO County is a robust county-driven DMO. Morro Bay is a destination within that. Our job is to provide the reporters, whether it's Travel and Leisure, Condé Nast Traveler, Sunset, with exactly what we know they want. And because we've been doing this for a long time and we're very good at that, we know what type of images they want, what kind of quotes they want, what type of hidden secrets, hidden gems they want. So really our job is to understand your destination, understand and have relationships with those journalists, work within the confines of the larger kind of county-driven DMO, but be the advocates for you. A lot of the times the journalists will come to us first, just to be honest, because we do have a lot of those relationships with them. So we love to work collaboratively, and we love to advocate for our clients to make sure that they get more than just a line or a mention, that they are the superstar of those stories. So that, I think, is how we could provide value, is helping to really elevate you guys from maybe part of the story to being more of a focus of the story.
What untapped opportunities do you see for Solvang?
Liz, if you would, I tend to hog, so it's a bad habit of mine. Maybe Danny, Allie, Liz, I can kick that over to you guys as far as untapped opportunities.
Yeah, I can start and then kick it over to Allie or Liz. I think in doing some research and back end looking at the stories that have been shared about Solvang, I think there is maybe a little bit of an untapped potential for those standalone stories and those really longer stay itinerary driven stories that go into a variety of attributes of Solvang, and kind of going back to those themes where we're categorizing and giving a really fun take on a Santa Barbara area destination that maybe these journalists haven't written about. Liz, do you have anything else, or Allie?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that not necessarily untapped, but also that makes us different is this whole thing about integration. So right now you're looking at an entire agency team that's going to support you in social media, public relations, web, all of those things under one roof. And with Ashley as our point person and directing all of the things, your main client contact, one of the things that really sets us apart and makes us different is our integration strategy. So one of the opportunities that Danny just mentioned of really increasing that length of stay, we're going to talk about that on social. We're going to tell people how to do that through video and engaging content and have them follow us. We're going to secure headlines that really talk about a multi-day itinerary. We're going to send them back to your website where they're going to find all these trip planning ideas and churches to visit and wineries to explore and all these cool things that really make Solvang stand out from other destinations, particularly in the state of California and Southern California, if you kind of hone in there. But that's what I would say is an untapped potential is, again, increasing that length of stay, but really looking at us as your integrated agency, your partner to do that. And so whether we're working with regional DMOs, the state DMO, Visit California, which we are regularly in contact with and engaged with, but it's really us as a team working for you as your partner in highlighting some of those untapped things.
Partnerships too. Partnerships are really important. You know, we have a great track record with Visit California working to get our clients on their websites, on their fam trips, etc. But beyond that, we were able to broker a partnership with Travel Nevada and Tesla, where we partnered them together for an electric highway road trip. We got Tesla to give us cars, we got the state to pay for it, and we did a whole road trip throughout the state of Nevada, highlighting, you know, the environmental sustainability of traveling in an electric car through the state of Nevada. I think there's a lot of partnership opportunities we can look at and potentially bring to you guys. Influencer partnerships, not necessarily the ones you pay for too. There's different types of things that we can look at through some of those bigger influencer-driven partnerships when they're kind of looking to come to town and we know that we're going to make sense for them. How do we explore those? How do we provide value and negotiate better for you guys when someone is asking you to pay for something? We really understand how to bring value when it comes to some of those paid partnerships as well, so that you, Solvang, are getting exactly what you need from a long-term perspective, not just a short-term one post, one placement on social media, but we're leveraging that for more. So I think that is some value that we can bring.
Can you show a dashboard of how you're going to report into us?
I do not, we have very robust reporting. I do not know if we have that right now, but we could definitely send you a dashboard of how we report after this. I don't know if we put a slide in this presentation. But we can definitely send that.
Yeah, Caroline, I think we could show them samples of tap clicks. We use several different platforms, online platforms that we create dashboards in and provide data.
Yeah, we could definitely pull a sample report that we've put together in the past of a fully integrated campaign report that we would do. We do also have live dashboards for our clients where they can log in at any time and kind of just check in to see how performance is working one way or the other.
We can send some screenshots of those. We'll have to black out certain things, and you guys can understand that if you were a client, obviously, but we can definitely do that.
Well, this brings us to about the time for the next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Solvang, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Okay, next up we have Verdin out of San Luis Obispo. Please go ahead. You're on mute currently.
We should have one more team member who should be logging in.
Okay. We'll make sure to let them in.
Thank you. We had popped in and then we realized the other group was still going, so we had left out of respect for them, and so we weren't sure when to pop back in. But we're here. Now we're all here.
Great.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right in.
Perfect.
Let's share our screen here.
Sorry, 1 second. Having just a little bit of technical difficulties. Hopefully, let me know if y'all can see this.
It says it's trying to share your screen, but it's not showing the screen.
Try one more time.
There it is.
Hey, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for your grace, everyone. I think that's something we've all learned to have in the last 2 years with technology. But now we'll jump right in. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting us to meet with you all today. We wanted to start out with that video to get into the Solvang state of mind. So as Central Coast residents and tourism experts, we have a lot of interest in working with the Solvang Tourism Advisory Committee to promote their special destination to welcome visitors to wander and wonder. So if we could just take a quick minute, I was hoping that we could have each of you introduce yourselves, and then I'll introduce our team as well. So Zena, would it be okay to start with you?
Yes, hello Verdin, I'm Zena Bradford, I'm the city manager. There will also be a marketing manager that will be working closely with this group and the marketing team, and I'll let the Tourism Advisory Committee introduce themselves.
Great.
Kim Jensen. John Martino.
Hi, I'm David Bretz.
Hi, Verdin, Cheryl Schallenberger.
Max Handberg.
Tracy Beard. Great, thank you. It's nice to meet all of you, though virtually. Let me tell you about the team we have here today. So I'm Mary Verdin. I'm president of Verdin Marketing. I have 30 years experience in marketing, and I founded the company in 2003. With me is Ashley Akers, who is a partner and vice president of client services. And Ashley, some of you probably recognize her. She is passionate about tourism, has her finger on the pulse of every level of destination marketing, including U.S. Travel, Visit California, CCTC, and Visit SlowCal. And in fact, she's leaving in, I think, 2 days now to head to Orlando for IPW. And then Megan Condit is our creative director, and she oversees all visual and content strategies. And Megan actually lives in Richmond, Virginia. So she's originally from the Central Coast, and like the rest of us, has visited Solvang many times, so she's really familiar with the area. But she also brings that out-of-state visitors perspective to round out our locals' insider knowledge of your area. So the three of us here today represent a full-service team that specializes in tourism and business improvement districts, and we're easily accessible and based in San Luis Obispo County. Our mission is we help build strong communities through strategy, consensus, and storytelling. So we know tourism districts.
There are different stakeholders listed here, and we understand that there are a lot of layers of stakeholders that make up a tourism district. Your board, the city council as well, constituents and visitors. And that we know each of those stakeholders have different pain points and expectations that they have of your tourism efforts. So our experience in building consensus and providing transparency has really enabled us to support many public entities in achieving our goals. So here is a snapshot of some of our clients. You can see we work with several different tourism destinations, as well as cities and counties, and we're very familiar with navigating the public process. So I'm going to hand it over to Ashley now to go through our approach and how we would apply that to solving.
So thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. Excited to be here. We're going to jump in as one of the requests was, how do we approach this? What does our approach look like? And so we wanted to go into a deeper dive into our proprietary process, the Verdant 360. And how that starts is we always jump into a groundwork phase. That groundwork phase is really where we discover where you're at currently, where do you want to go, what are those goals, what does that look like? We jump in with the fam tour of Solving, although we've all been there to Solving many times, so we'd like to really understand it from a different perspective. We have an immersion session with all of our key stakeholders to hear information from a lot of different types of people in the community. And then any additional research that's needed to develop that strategy, setting all objectives, all the metrics that we would like to report on to make sure that we're achieving our goals, and then building a brand plan with core messaging and a marketing plan to really reach our goals and hit our budget and anything that we've identified in that immersion session. Then we jump into Get Working. So this is really where we bring that plan to life. That could look like or include a brand refresh. We can look at the identity, logo, style guide, and different elements of the brand as far as what is the voice, what is the tone, what are we trying to say, what's the story behind it, and make any adjustments and refinements. We would have any brand launch support in that initiative, as well as any website updates and redesign. And then, of course, the implementation of the marketing plan. So we would identify who are those core audiences, building out those personas so that we have a really strong messaging matrix. Any video and photography assets, things like that we're trying to build out for future creative. Execution of our PR and social strategies, as well as our email marketing campaigns. Development of all of our advertising, and then, of course, the placement of our media buy. And then gauging results, that's a very important part of the overall process. We always like to evaluate monthly and make any adjustments as needed. So we monitor our results and based off the metrics we've identified, and provide regular reporting and provide any other tactics to leverage that success. So how do we apply what we just reviewed into a case study for one of our clients, and what does that look like? We're going to walk you through Ventura County Coast. They're a current client of ours that we work with, and they're a string of coastal communities along Highway 101, including Camarillo, Oxnard, Ventura, and Port Hueneme. And so when we began working with them in 2016, we really identified an opportunity to build brand awareness. People weren't sure what Ventura County, or was that, and who is that, and wait a minute, it's not Ventura or Oxnard, so how does that play into other DMOs under the umbrella of Ventura County Coast? We also identified wanting to drive demand during the off-season midweek, and then really create some programs that leverage resources to support our city partners. We start that with understanding what makes Ventura County Coast different. What are those core differentiators? And we discovered a lot of unique things that are special about the region. We have this incredible gem with the Channel Islands. We have this really unique laid-back surf culture and strong, authentic people that really are just the backbone of this community. And so really having a lot of that lead into this identity, this idea of it's a vibe in Ventura County Coast, what does that look like, and making sure all people are welcome and you can find that vibe here. And so that was really kind of tailoring into some core messaging that we developed. And then within that, we identified what are those core pain points from the board's perspective? How do we address that when we're developing that marketing plan? And so we understood that understanding that true voice how do we unify? We've got 4 different regions and destinations under our umbrella. What is that clear messaging? How do we bring commonality through all 4 cities, and then tap into those meetings and events, business, to support that off-season visitation? So those are some of those core pain points that we identified in the beginning that we needed to address as we move forward. That led us to our strategy, which really we understood we needed a rebrand. We needed a new, fresh brand out into the consumer space. So we developed a new identity and logo. And we had a new story developed around Ventura County Coast, what you can expect when you come and visit. A very dynamic media plan with a lot of different tactics. Consistency was key. So the story needed to be the same in a lot of different channels. So whether you're hearing information about what we have to offer on the website or social media or through our email marketing campaigns, we wanted to really make sure there was a lot of consistency there. So that was the overall strategy, but we're going to kick it off with some visuals as well, and I'll hand it off to Megan to showcase that.
Thank you. So as Ashley mentioned, we started with a brand identity, and I'm happy to walk you through our approach to that with Ventura County Coast. This is their previous brand identity before working with us, and we had that immersion session that Ashley mentioned, and they really were expressing, and we could see here, it just wasn't communicating that laid back beach vibe that they clearly had, and there was too much emphasis on coast. They have a lot of farming area within their region, and so it was clear it was time to evolve this to meet those goals and some of those pain points. And what we did with that was we created this fresh identity for them that really communicates that laid back feeling, and it's a lot more easygoing. It speaks to them so much more than before, and we were able to create this really wonderful little custom icon that you see on the left. And the significance of that is one of their pain points was, how do we unify all of these individual areas within this region? This little icon actually are the map points on the map of each individual city. And so it created a story for them to tell and a way for them to go forward into the future, sort of as a united front. So we really love how that turned out for them. And then we developed a lot, just like Ashley said, but here's a small example of stationery, really professional front as they went in to have make those connections that they were wanting to make, and brand guidelines and much more. But we are very excited to talk more about how we approached their Find Your Vibe campaign. So as Ashley mentioned, it is a vibe there, all vibes are welcome, and that was a really key strategic moment with them. We identified that whatever your vibe is, you can find your vibe in Ventura County Coast. And so in the spirit of that idea and that campaign, we created a really unique way to meet our audiences and within the brand. So it was not a one size fits all approach. And I'll walk you through that. First, we developed our personas. We have this outdoor lover. Ventura County Coast is full of outdoor opportunities, so this made a lot of sense for them. What we did internally is we started to look at where are the spaces where this target audience lives. You know, what magazines are they reading? Where are they online? And what does that look like? And so we started to pick up on clues. This person is already immersed in a very bold and clean design with really striking imagery. It's all epic. It's all the next big adventure. And so what we did was we created this creative strategy that creates a base for the brand. So we have this frame around this image here that you'll see on the next 2 audiences. It's exactly the same. That's the backbone of this campaign. But what's within that frame is more malleable. It meets that demographic better. So we have our surf vibes and really clean, bold typography. We have this really awesome epic surfing shot, and that Finder vibe on the bottom is very indicative of that, just the audience. And so then we started looking at what's that next persona, the good vibe seeker. They are all about festivals and good food and good wine and good beer and really experiencing life. And so we again went where they are, into festival websites, clubs, different opportunities to see. And what we really just discovered was this is an Instagram forward group. They want to show what they're doing. They want to sort of brag to their friends. And so that's what we did for them. We created, you'll see the frame here. It's all the same, but now Beach Vibes is different. It's fading into the frame. It's in a very festival-y font. And all the visual direction is all around showing off that wonderful food or that wonderful view. And so we love that for the good vibe seeker. And lastly, on our 3 personas, we have this millennial mama, and excuse me, much like the other 2, we're trying to find out where she might be. And this person, you know, wants their children to have a really unique and educational experience when they're on vacation. So we looked at different kid-friendly activities and found that it's very crafty, very fun, a little quirky, bright, and we let that take the lead. And this is what we came up with for that audience. So totally different photography, quirky, weird angles, just really fun, almost from a kid's perspective. And then we have fun vibes, and that brings in those playful elements of the fun and the colors and the shapes. But you see the frame is the same as the other 3. So here you can see how all 3 of those look, true to the you can find your vibe here idea for meeting them halfway. And that's what we did for our print ads, and the rest will take off with Ashley.
Awesome, thanks, Meg. So digital media process, now we have all this creative, we've developed this strategy, we have these 4 message points. How do we activate? And we know that people have they're in different phases when they're making planning decisions. So we have this funnel approach, this awareness, consideration, activation. It's important for us to meet people in whatever phase they're at. So that awareness is really, we need to inspire them. We need to inspire them to learn more, inspire them to come to our website, check us out, understand who we are. And so that's going to have a different creative set than consideration, which is a little stronger call to action. It might be setting them into the destination. What would it feel like and be like and look like for us if I was at Ventura County Coast? And so we have a different creative set for that phase. And then finally, activation. It's a very strong call to action. We're asking them, they've already engaged with us in the brand. We know that they're considering us as a destination. Now we need to make that happen. We need them to choose us and make the choice. And so we have a different creative set for that phase that is more in alignment with the book now, really designed to interrupt and have a different type of format than the other 2 phases. So we'll take a look at that. So this is, again, that brand awareness phase for all 3 personas and what that looks like. So because we know the audiences are different, the creative needs to be different. We need to speak to them and have a different message for this audience and really set them up so that they can feel like they're part of Ventura County Coast. And so if they've engaged with the creative set in the awareness phase, they'll be retargeted with that consideration creative set, which is what we're going to show next. you can see the POV, this point of view visual, the sounds, all of that really builds in and pulls the viewer's attention to invite them to feel that feeling if they're here. And then finally, the activation. So then we've got these digital display ads to retarget them a third time, because we know people need to be, in front of certain elements, brand messages multiple times to really activate. And so this has that stronger call to action where we're meeting people, we're again showcasing the 3 personas, but having, messaging specifically to them, and then having that button, that book now button, so we can directly get them to convert, to come to stay.
So you've seen a lot of different creative that hopefully has illustrated what our process is and how it works and how we could apply that to what you need once we have the move forward and we can meet with all of you. So why should you choose us? We bring both a local Central Coast perspective plus an out-of-state visitor's perspective. We seek regular feedback from our clients. In our last client pulse survey, our overall rating was 4.7 out of 5 stars, and that's for client service, creativity, on time, on budget, and value. And we're people-centered. Relationships are really the most important thing to us, both from our clients to who they serve, the visitor. We are transparent, and we produce effective creative that always ties back to strategy. So with that, I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity, and we'll open it up for your questions.
I would just like to ask, we're super busy on the weekends. Our midweek always needs help. Maybe your thoughts on how we could address some of the midweek challenges.
I can take that one. So one thing that we've seen successful is midweek promotion. So there could be some creative way to encourage people to stay midweek. A lot of times we have different destinations. We serve multiple destinations currently, and you can do a really fun, unique, like a gas card giveaway, for example, something simple like that, but encourages you, book your stay in the middle of the week and get a $100 gas card. Certain little midweek promos we find tend to usually be really successful for helping and support that midweek visitation.
Thank you.
Can I ask, under the circumstances, let's say we get a fire and all of a sudden it goes national, and all of a sudden we have issues where it's during our holiday season. Let's say in the September area, right before our Danish days. And we're kind of stuck because nationally someone's come in and said, Solvang's on fire. So what could you do if that situation ever comes up? And help us to say, no, it's not on fire. It's a little something going on, but it's not the whole valley is on fire. Do you have something that would help us in PRing that off?
I wonder, could you reference some of the things that we did actually with Ventura when they had that exact thing? They had fires and they had mudslides, and we kind of had to jump into action.
That's exactly what I want to hear, what you're doing.
Yeah, so a lot of, it really is talking about the media owning the story, right? So it's important for us to start by jumping in and reaching out to our media contacts to make sure that they're telling the right story, that we're letting them know what's happening, we're keeping everybody informed, but we're also making sure people understand if we are open for business, what that looks like, having clear expectations. We also used our social media channels. So there was a period of time where, of course, in the initial phase of the Thomas fire, we had to, really rein, we stopped all of our paid media, we really reined in our social media. So then we kind of all gather together, and then we go into a game plan phase where, all right, now we need to start controlling the story and the narrative that's out there. We're not all on fire. There's things that you can do. Here's what that looks like. And it's really all about leveraging those media contacts, making sure that they're the ones that are sharing the story for you. So having them have accurate information so that becomes the core story rather than, what you see. And I think we see that from Visit California all the time. We hear it from other states saying, wait a minute, California is on fire, California is having floods, or whatever it might be. And so we've had to have training in crisis communication so that we can be ready for anything that happens, whether it's natural or whatever the case might be. So we leverage a lot of media context to help get that message out there.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that one of the, actually my background is more on the public relations side, and something we've been able to offer to other clients is helping them, if they don't already have a crisis communications plan, helping them with that, or helping them build out like a dark website. So if something does happen, all you have to do is push a button. You're not left in a crisis period having to come up with a website. That's something that could just be at the ready, and then those messages can easily be placed in there that talk about, here's what's happening, here's what we're doing, and we're open for business, and inviting people to come in when and if it's appropriate to do that.
On page 15 of your proposal, you have an additional $150,000 estimated media buy. Is that part of your 300, or are you suggesting that we give you an extra 150 for a media buy?
No, that's included in the proposal, so
Okay.
you'll see at the bottom it has
Right.
the total count.
But none
So
of the
that-
other things are estimated, but yet you had that as a line item.
We did that because we have that giant bucket, and because that media cost is a pass-through cost, and I know that with many of our destination clients, that's a really important piece for them to know how much is actually being put out there to promote us. So we have these amazing assets we're going to develop. We have all these great strategies, but how much is actually going to push that message out? So that's as a matter of course, we always indicate what that hard media cost is. And then that would be for anything. That would be for programmatic, for pre-roll, for social media ads, anything that requires that paid advertising dollar would be included in that 150. Anything else?
I actually have one more question if I could. I think we noted that you also visit San Ynez Valley. That's correct? And is there a conflict representing both clients where our interests are very similar, but they're also very different?
Yeah, I think that because Visit San Ynez Valley incorporates Solvang, but also the other towns and cities within the San Ynez Valley, I think it's very similar to our relationship with Ventura County Coast, where we work with that overarching countywide effort, but we also work with individual cities. And I think Ashley could really speak to this more, but I think the benefit to that has really been, we've been able to put some really powerful co-op opportunities together because we're working with the bigger entity, and so we're able to bring those opportunities to the individual cities. So it's actually, I think, played out as a very beneficial relationship. But Ashley, do you have any more insight on that?
Yeah, I was just going to mention leveraging those resources. So, for example, if we're working with Ventura County Coast and we work with Visit Camarillo as well, who is within Ventura County Coast. And so if we find something where we're doing some type of campaign, or if we are building out a co-op that for an event, for example, and Visit Camarillo can come in at a specific level and they don't have to invest as much as the county effort, they see that as value. They like to leverage those resources in a smart way. So again, they still get more bang for their buck, basically, if it's some initiative we're activating or deploying for them. So yeah, we find a lot of different opportunities to bridge and bring people together. Collaboration is always a huge key for us. We like to be good collaborators, and so if we find opportunities to work together, we think that that's stronger.
Thank you.
So committee, it's about time for the last group.
Thank you, Arden.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great
Thank you so much.
presentation.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Can we take a quick comfort break? Just not to put them off, but maybe 2 minutes?
Just a couple of minutes, Chair, take a break.
Sure, 2-minute break,
We'll come back in 2 minutes.
5:05.
I think there you go. All right, if you'd like to start back up, we have the last presentation, which is from Schulte Agency, and we have Amanda, if you can hear me, here with us.
All right, come on in. I didn't hear the introduction.
Oh,
Hi,
they're
guys.
here in person. Oh.
I am here, and like so overdressed. I should have left my my yoga pants from the airplane. They're in the car. Should have left them. Okay, so should I just cause I got the presentation on my laptop.
You can, if you have a thumb drive, and you can email it to me, or we can just plug yours into this if you have right plug.
Maybe able to do that. That might be the most efficient. It's a large file. What kind of plug is it? Is it an HT? Cords, bag of cords.
Okay, no, yeah.
There you go.
Perfect. This is the slide advancer. This one comes to me here. Doesn't seem to want to plug in. No, it's not. But I've got another one, so I'll just come prepared. Go with technology. There we go. All right. You're up and running. So I'll go on back. Okay. Just check really fast and make sure, I don't know, can we see who is online?
Yes. We have 2 members.
Perfect, yes, absolutely. Okay, well, first of all, wonderful to see you all this evening. Sorry I'm keeping you here, I guess a bit later than normal,
No
but
problem.
thank you guys so
No
much.
problem.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
And thank you for inviting us today. It's been great kind of hanging out in the city the last few hours, so lots of fun. Even went to Morton Simmons, grabbed some coffee, it was great. We are here to talk about you guys, though. We are Charette, so I guess before we jump into all the ground that we plan to cover today, I want to make sure we're being as efficient as possible with the little bit of time and spend all the time we can discussing our strategic approach to the creative that we put in our proposal, and just the way that we plan to approach your business strategically, from a 30,000 foot perspective. So we are Charette. I am Amanda Carter. I am the founding principal of the agency, and I also work as the group account director of our larger clients. And so I am also going to be the person who, if you all are to entrust us with your business, I'm going to be the person who is running point, and I will be your account manager. So that is me. Hi. Joining us virtually today, we've got Jeff White, who is this guy over here. He is our creative director and the genius, sort of, behind the development of the creative spec work that was included in our proposal, and you'll get to hear from him in a bit, but well, say hi, Jeff.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I
And
can't see anybody right now. I can just see a couple blocks, but nice to meet you guys.
Jeff is actually joining us from Hawaii. So he was on vacation this week, and I totally grabbed him and said, I don't care how many hours behind you are, you're joining this call. So Jeff is, if he looks a little sun-kissed, that's what's happening. And then we've got Mike Woodhead here, who is our lead strategist. And he is not at all sun-kissed, but you know, it's cool. Glad to have him here anyway.
Never been sun-kissed. It's never happened.
So, and pardon the thin crew today, I actually really wanted to include our PR lead to speak to a couple of the public relations aspects of the business, but weird week for us, kind of on the West Coast, or sorry, East Coast. We've got a lot of schools letting out for the summer, so a couple people on vacation. But we'll do our best to do without. So this is the team we've got today. We are Charette, and quick overview of us, and I'm totally fudging the slide advance thing that I spent so much time plugging in. So we're passionate about people, discovery, and the truth, and that's just a really easy way to kind of sum up why we are here and what we bring to the table, and also measurable results. Because you know, if we can't prove that we did it, then it didn't happen, right? So we like to make sure that we can follow up all the great work and the successes that we are able to inform on behalf of our clients with this is how we did it, here's what it looks like, and you know, here's all the things. So if we can't prove it happened, it didn't happen. So that's just a little bit of a 30,000-foot perspective on the agency. These are our capabilities. Essentially, we do all the things. And if there is anything that a client of ours is in need of that we don't offer in-house, we partner with them to make sure we can get it done. So whatever you need, we can absolutely make happen. Experience, you know, pretty much coast to coast. Some small, some large, some in the middle. But we've got a pretty rich and vibrant destination marketing experience, and also outside of the destination marketing space, we've had a lot of experience as well. So, but we are here today to talk about you and elevating the true potential of your brand. So, I want to start first with our vision for the destination, which is just kind of succinct, listed up here. We really want to work to elevate the destination in the consideration set of leisure travelers and meeting planners. We'll get back to that meeting planner piece in just a minute. They're seeking outdoor experiences with you know, this rich, authentic, cultural, sort of eclectic twist. So if we can get that done, we know we're right in the sweet spot. Some of the business objectives, we like to refer to these as the mission. This is kind of what you all laid out for us via your RFP. What we're here to do is to drive overnight visitation, to lengthen the average stay, and if you can lengthen average stay, you are almost certainly growing visitor spend, average visitor spend, so the two kind of go hand in hand. Growing year-round travel, both in your off-season and shoulder seasons as well, and really supporting sustainable tourism growth. We've got about a little over 6,000 residents that call the city of Solvang home, and then what, 1.5 or so million tourists that came through last year. So we want to make sure that we are growing tourism, but in a way that allows us to sort of balance the needs of our community with the needs of travelers and visitors. All right, so just a quick touch on balancing those needs and the impact of tourism in Solvang, which is, you know, undoubtedly great. About 50% of the general fund in the city is comes from the tourism occupancy, the transient occupancy tax. So obviously the impact is really great, and that translates into dollars saved for your community, your residents, and jobs, and just the overall economic vitality of the region. So our jobs have never been greater. Some key challenges, though, that we have identified as we approach your business. We're noticing a lack of overall brand awareness outside of the state, right? So the folks who are living in and they live their lives right here in your drivable feeder markets and within the state regionally, they obviously know who Solvang is, and you know, the core experience, the Danish culture and vibes of the place. But as you move outside the state, we start to see that awareness sort of kind of dip a bit. So we want to be able to work on that because as we shift our focus to marketing the experiences here in Solvang out of state, which is what we'll kind of need to begin to talk about focusing on if we want to affect visitation that stays longer. As we know, when you travel from further, you come to the city and you stay for longer. So if we want to be able to attract a visitor who we know is going to book 1, 2, 3 nights in a hotel here in Solvang, we're going to need to be able to market the destination and boost brand awareness outside of the state of California. And then you've also got a lack of tourism product awareness. And what I mean by that is a lack of awareness of all of the different things that there is to do here in the destination, all the things there are to experience. And so we want to work on building that as well. And then just a general lack of data-driven insights about your core consumer base. Who are they? Where are they coming from? How long are they staying? How much money are they spending when they're here? And so we really need to kind of wrap our arms around the big data that is our audience to whom we're speaking so that we know how to speak to them. But with any challenge, there's a silver lining. There's always opportunity. So we ultimately want to create a proprietary sense of region that's firmly rooted in the culture, the community, the history, natural wonders, and the purpose of Solvang. One that's reflective of the emotional promise of the destination at large. How we go about making that happen here at Schulte is we begin with a definition of your product truths, which we like to think of as more than just the amazing special events that you all have throughout the year, your Jewel Fests, your Grape Stomps, your Danish Days. It's that stuff, yes, but it's also the experiences that you have to offer Monday through Sunday that go beyond just the amazing cultural vibes and history and architecture of the place. This is going to be Overharge. This is going to be the theater, the Solvang Festival Theater that's reopening in July. This is going to be your winery tours. This is going to be your boutique, you should shopping. You know, the product truths of the place that we can market year round. It's the definition of those things overlapped with the human truths. So this is how we refer to the needs of today's traveler and how we can potentially work to meet those needs. What are they lacking? What are they looking for? What do they need in a destination? We'll layer those two things on top of the character and the values of the place itself, of the people who call this place home. We go about doing that in a myriad of ways, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the presentation, but we want to concretely define the character and values of this place so we can kind of get to the soul of the place, if you will, and then later bake that into your marketing efforts. So at the meeting of your product truth, human truth, values, and character, for us is always the campaign idea or the brand idea, the position. And this is the place from which we approached your the development of your spec creative that we did include in the proposal that you guys have in front of you. And I'll let Jeff walk us through the approach.
Okay, so a little bit about our typical process first. Usually when we develop a new creative for a client, we would do a full immersion tour, a brand discovery phase. We didn't have the opportunity to do that, obviously, for the spec creative. So what we did is we brought our entire team aboard, and we start by doing essentially a digital whiteboard. So everybody on the team just starts spitballing ideas, brainstorming ideas, looking at concepts, looking at inspirational creative, looking at what's going on in the area. And then we just start brainstorming ideas, literally essentially like sticky notes on the wall. And then we start grouping ideas that are working together and then tossing the ones that don't. So that led us to where we landed as far as the creative direction for these concepts. And Amanda, I can't see the deck currently.
Okay. Can you see it now?
There we go, yeah.
Okay.
So essentially what we came up with and kind of what sets you guys apart is that you're a Danish heart with a SoCal soul. And that really defines essentially who you are and your location. And so if we go to the next slide, we did a couple different variations of different executions on the creative concepts. Each of these, when the team was looking at the destination, your placement in the Santinez Valley is an iconic and beautiful location. And you are really set apart because you are a destination unlike anything else in California, unlike anything else in the country. And just your iconic cityscape we felt like is pretty much defined by this, your traditional Danish windmill. So what I did was I took that as a graphic element for each of these concepts, and we wanted to go with a fresh, contemporary design that really doesn't look dated and makes you look like a desirable destination. So I did these hand-drawn windmills, and we used those to kind of serve as a container for these vignettes of all these special moments that can happen while you're in Solvang. So these could be family moments, these could be, girls' trips, any sort of things. And it gives you a lot of flexibility with a campaign, whereas, going to do a photo shoot, we would be able to capture your local tourism advocates. So we could have hoteliers, business owners, all of your locals and the people that are really special and unique in Solvang. We can feature those as well as feature tourism because people want to see themselves in this destination. Also, our choice for the background images was to just do these beautiful, iconic Santinez Valley shots. And basically using the windmill as kind of like this beacon or that kind of draws you into your city. Because basically we're also talking about a lot of drive markers is what we had determined. So accentuating the beauty that you're going to experience not only when you get into the city, but also on your road trip and your journey there. And then this is just a slightly different execution, also of Danish Heart and SoCal Soul. So you can advance. In this one, I did another illustration utilizing that crossed blade of the windmill element from your current logo, and use that as a graphic element to kind of create these quadrants where we can show different vignettes. It gives us a little more flexibility because we can show scenic shots of the landscape, of the town, the buildings, the places that make it this unique Danish destination in California. And then also feature vignettes of different people. So we can do different demographics of people doing all sorts of different things, from the brewery to wine to food and beverage, biking, all the kinds of outdoor activities that you guys offer there. And the messaging is just very short and succinct and to the point. Danish Heart, SoCal Soul, find it with friends, find it in Solvang. And then the first one also, and then I just realized I messed up the slide, Amanda, and duplicated the same slide on 2 frames.
Right.
But if you go back to the RFP, we have about 4 different executions of this creative. And then we also show how the executions would be in print, programmatic digital campaigns, high impact animated display units across the board.
Thank you, Jeff. Yep, we were attempting to be a little bit more succinct via the presentation today, but there are a few other executions in the packets in front of you. And, just ultimately, the approach is to, make sure that cultural roots in the community are the main characters, sort of in the first chapter of the Solvang story, and that's what speaks to that Danish heart. And then moving out from there, the point, the real strategic imperative is to differentiate from competitor clutter, visually and with an attitude that is uniquely Solvang. There are so many destinations with which Solvang competes, but then just also, in the state of California and the region, you can start to see this sort of sea of sameness, if you will, of marketing efforts, to whom we are speaking, to what we are saying. And Solvang can absolutely stand apart from that with an authentic voice, because there's such an authentic experience here in the destination. Singing with your own voice, definitely something that we've got to do. So a few insights that sort of, and I'll just run through these, that we really leaned on in the development of your pitch creative. The first of which is experiential travel. It's this idea of values-based marketing. So experiential travel is not new. It is an idea that's been in the destination marketing space for quite some time. But values-based marketing just kind of really takes experiential marketing a step further. It's all about people traveling to a destination and going there to experience a community's values, their goals, and the creative energy, and really just baking that into your marketing messaging and bringing that forth, so that a visitor really has a firm idea of who you are before they even arrive. And so it's been identified by Destinations International as the new insight, the new it thing for destinations worldwide to do. Nature bathing, which is just really a fancy way of this idea that if we're all in a bad mood, we can go for a walk outside in the park, and it's actually got a profound effect on the chemical makeup in your brain. And so going for a walk in the park or getting outside really helps to sort of boost our mood. And there's a lot of different ways that visitors can get outside and experience your rich outdoor offerings here in the destination, and bathe in nature, if you will. And then, of course, there's agritourism, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, but there are ample opportunities to really get your hands dirty and stomp on grapes, or visit any one of the farm-to-table culinary establishments here in town, and just really lean into the agritourism vibe of the destination. And so, collectively, these insights, they really shine a bright light on what needs to happen next for Solvang, which is that outdoor experiences, arts and entertainment, they're the main characters in the second chapter of your story. We want to continue to align the destination with its rich cultural vibe, fold in members of the Solvang community, which is really going to help bake in that authenticity for the destination, and also help to bolster tourism advocacy and just a base of support here for the visitors that come annually. Do those things while at the same time broadening the story of the destination. If we can market a layered experience, we give people more things to do, more reasons to come, more repeat visitation, more longer lengths of stay, larger average spend, sort of check, check, check. We want to elevate the image and expand the understanding of Solvang's vibrant culture, community, arts, culinary, agriculture, and outdoor attractions, and we want to do this through digital marketing and social media. And we'll get there through the expansion of your brand equity content into a wide array of communication channels with an extreme emphasis on your digital media and earned channels. There are a whole host of reasons why we want to do that, but the main ones is that it's going to allow us to stretch every budget dollar to its max, and also be more effective in the targeting of different audience groups. We want to develop original content that emphasizes your brand and speaks to the specific attributes that travelers are seeking today. Find the deeper story in all of Solvang's offerings to share it with media and in the digital space. And to create these advantageous partnerships that are going to generate even greater reach. And I know you guys already, these advantageous partnerships help us to build importance within and beyond your region. And I know you're already doing some work and aligning with this Visit St. Inez in particular, but these strategic partnerships I feel are really going to help us bolster visitation midweek in particular, because we can partner with any one of these destinations and have them route larger groups, conventions, meetings through Solvang Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And while that's not going to be visitation that we realize overnight stays from, it is visitation that we'll be able to realize additional visitor spend, and therefore a little bit of a kick to the local economy. Very last slide, I promise. This is the process that we take to get there, and this is, I think, the only thing that is also included in your RFP. We try to be to not just kind of regurgitate all that stuff, but to get to all the things that we discussed today. This is the process that we take and the process that we weren't really able to kind of leverage in the approaching of the creative spec that you've got in front of you. But we would begin first with discovery and immersion, which is our way of really defining those product truths that we discussed earlier. What are all the things that we must do, see, taste, feel, smell, touch, that are uniquely and indelibly Solvang? We're gonna come here and have those experiences. Stakeholder and community engagement is how we work to really define, again, the soul of the place. Pull out your community's characters and values, and obviously use those things later to really impart a sense of authenticity and uniqueness of the destination. And then we want to strategize and brand. So we'll take all the insights that we garnered through our time spent in destination for immersion, our time spent with your stakeholders and community members, and start to plot quadrants on board and see how the insights cluster together or stand apart. And we'll use the strategy that we develop based upon those insights to brand, position the destination via a refreshed creative campaign. And then we come back to the stakeholders and or community members that we engaged with on the front end, because we want to make sure that we got it right. We're not the agency that just put something together and then kind of like, hey, this is what we did, hope you love it, we're putting it out there. We want to make sure that we were able to effectively define the place and create a campaign platform and messaging that is wholly reflective of this destination, and you all know it best, so who better to ask? And then once we have validated our messaging and we've got the go-ahead, we'll launch the campaign and then refine and optimize as we go. And that's where those measurable results that we talked about earlier come into play. That's it. I think I'm all right. I think we're under 20. Any questions?
I have a question. Just our business tends to be really skewed. Weekends are really busy. Midweek always needs help.
Yeah.
Any thoughts you might have on how we could improve our midweek business?
Yeah, so that's what I sort of touched on earlier when I mentioned alignment with some of our statewide, regional travel organizations that are going to, play a lot more frequently in the larger convention meeting space. They are always looking, meeting planners and these people who route conventions into specific places, they're always looking to be able to give the attendees of said conventions or meetings, a really unique cultural experience on top of, their breakout sessions and, keynote speakers and things like that. And so if we can sort of be the destination that says like, hey, bring your buses of whomever here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and, we'll take them through a really amazing, authentic experience here in Solvang. They're undoubtedly going to spend money. They are going to, we use that experience to create brand advocates and create repeat visitation. And so it's a way in which to kind of allow folks to dip their toe in the water right there in the middle of the week, which traditionally, if we want to effectively and sustainably drive midweek visitation, that's almost always going to be your business traveler. So that's the way in which I would suggest we would go initially and see how that strategy is working. Is it effective? Do we need to shift gears with other methods of attracting midweek visitation? So, but that's regional alignment is what I go for first. Yes, sir.
One wise local merchant once told me if every hotel room was filled every day of the week in Solvang, many of the stores would not survive. We need foot traffic as well. Weekday travelers, we can't live on, the city is funded by the TOT, but
That's
the
right.
merchants in the stores are,
That's right.
So that's
right, and this is absolutely a destination that's not, we're not talking about the Jeff Bezoses and the Amazons and the major corporations. These are mom and pops, and we're talking about, basketball shoes for the kids down the street, dance shoes for dance lessons. And so, it makes our task that much more weighty, and it matters. And So it's not always about ADR and total occupancy, to your point. Absolutely, we can just get folks in town and spending money, that in and of itself helps.
How do you plan on doing reporting with the 3-hour time difference in council starting, and that will be at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. you'll be on, or midnight your time?
Yep.
And the fact that, I like the fact that you don't charge for reporting, or do you
We do
charge?
not. No.
It says no charge for, but
No.
can you give us how you report?
So it really depends on the different marketing tactics that we're deploying on your behalf. If we do approve of the proposed strategy to lean into heavy digital, then that's going to be all available to you 24/7 via a media dashboard that feeds directly into the different digital efforts that we're deploying on your behalf. So clicks, engagement, referral traffic, things like that, you can see right in the dashboard at any time. Don't need me for that at midnight or 3 hours behind. And then with more traditional mass media tactics, such as broadcast radio or broadcast television, out of home, we will utilize sort of a mixture of what we refer to as soft metrics, which that means you're not able to look at a dashboard and tell concretely that this came from this website and they engaged with this content, right? We can't say that concretely with billboards and mass marketing tactics, but what we can say is that the week that we flighted a television campaign, perhaps leading up to Memorial Day weekend, we saw an increase in online traffic in wherever it was that what was the call to action in that spot, for example. So did we tell people to go to the website? Did we tell them to check us out on social media? Did we see an uptick in traffic and engagement following those weeks? And so those soft metrics kind of give us an idea that we've been able to affect the conversion action based upon the proximity to those mass marketing tactics. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How are you going to make sure that people, the hotel, is there a way for you to manage that of the hotel click-throughs and the stay of how many people we have?
So do you guys have a central booking engine at all? Where someone can say, we're going to visit Sylvain and they can, book a stay, and it's like imagine your own personal experience where, I didn't find anything like that, but I'm wondering if maybe individual hoteliers might have it, or no? Okay. All right, so what we'll need to do in those cases is, there's a couple of different ways. We can partner with Smith Travel Research, but that's Star Reports. But that's going to require our hoteliers to, at no cost to them, but it takes them a little bit of time. They'll have to report their occupancy numbers. They'll have to report check-ins, and they'll report all those things to Smith Travel Research, and then we'll be able to go back and say occupancy is up or down, ADR is up or down, and can we associate those movements with marketing activities deployed right around the same time. The other way is we can feature different hotels at different times in our marketing efforts, and particularly our digital marketing efforts, and have a book now button route to a specific hotelier over a specific amount of time. And then obviously we have a responsibility to be fair as possible, as impartial as possible to all of our hoteliers. So we would switch out that link with predetermined regularity so that all the hotels got love. So I know there's several, probably 18 or so properties here in the city. So I want to make sure we rotate those out. Any other questions?
Good.
Great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's go back to Hawaii.
That's Jeff there. All right, Jeff, you can go back to the beach.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having us. We appreciate the opportunity.
I think, and I don't want to take any of yours still. I'm trying to make sure. This is yours. Okay. I would have brought it back. I'm a bit of a road warrior, so it's no sweat to me. Thank you guys so much. You have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Tourism Advisory Committee. Just to let others know, we are a little bit behind on time as we've been running about 5 minutes late on each one. So we need to finalize the discussion regarding the marketing contract, which is happening right now. That was the last presenter. And then we'll move on to the regular session. So we'll be with you shortly. Just hold on, but at least we're almost there. So, Chair, if you would like to head off the discussion, you've heard 4 presentations. Obviously, our goal is to move forward with securing a contract as soon as feasible. So I just want to ask you all a question now if you feel that you're ready to make a decision and a recommendation for City Council. Your recommendation will be taken to the City Council for final approval.
I thought they were all great.
Yeah.
One stood out very much.
Okay, what's here?
I thought the way they did their presentation, I like the fact the way.
Who's they?
TJA. TJA. I like the fact how they can book the hotels and they can track it. And I like that fact of it. They were well versed in how to showcase their metrics to us. And it was about us. Other organizations were not necessarily about us. They spent a lot of time on the PowerPoints and really researching who we are. And I like that. Changed my numbers a little bit, so.
I got down to 2, TJ and can't remember these people were. Abbey, right. So, I thought they were both good, liked ideas in both of them myself, so.
I'm glad that we had this opportunity to see it. It actually changed my mind that from where I originally thought. I actually would have put Abbey number 1. I would have put Schulte number 2. I think they're, one of my biggest concerns for them was, hey, how are you going to address the distance? And they showed up. They're the only ones that showed up, and that was important. Bergen, I thought they were much better than I expected, and I put TGAA number 4. But I also agree, we had really quality presentations, and we would be well served by any one of the 4.
Well, I thought they were all great presentations, and it's really going to be hard to make a decision, in my opinion. I like the Abbey Agency a lot because they really showed a lot of energy, and they showed that they could really attract maybe a new market for us. And that's what I liked about them. But then again, I liked the TYA agency out of Pismo because of their experience in the Central Coast. I thought they really knew the Central Coast market. They talked about Bakersfield, they talked about new markets for us. Very few of them touched on the Los Angeles market, except I think the Abbey Agency talked about the Los Angeles market, which I thought is one of our biggest markets. So I would say I have the Abbey Agency number 1, TYA number 2, and the Schulte number 3. And again, I agree with David. They made an effort to come out here. She did a great presentation. She was very knowledgeable. She didn't stumble at any of the questions. So anyway, those are my 1, 2, and 3.
I really was impressed with TJA. I liked the fact they had the portal. That was impressive. And then showing that they were showing their breakdown of just about everything. I was a little concerned that, they're trying to make us a wine destination, where I'd like to think that we are. That was my only concern there, because I want them to be, we have to show our I want people to have an experience when they come to Solvang. They can have an experience here in the San Ynez Valley with their wines, but why specifically, if Solvang, the city of Solvang's paying for them, they should be showing the experience of Solvang more so than the wine.
Yeah,
So I
agree.
think that's where they missed a little bit there.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I do like them, and my other one was, of course, Abbey. I like Abbey and Schulte, so that's where I stood.
Yeah, I think Abbey stood out the most for me. Not that we didn't ask for it, but I liked their budget and plan was a multi-year, because I don't think you just do the same thing as a new agency year over year. I love their energy. I love the pitches that they just rambled off in the presentation, very creative. And
Yes.
they have very good PR, and I think that's gonna be important with this agency, for solving a strong PR. TJA was probably one of my least favorite going into this. However, I really did like their presentation. I love they have everything in-house. So I was definitely impressed with their presentation. And then the others I thought were great as well. So everyone did a really good job.
I wanted to say just one thing on Abbey. I thought the PR department was the best today. I
They were great,
really
yes.
was impressed with their
Yeah.
PR department. That really, and I
I
think
was
that's
too.
real important. Just
I
saying,
agree.
that's all.
And as far as the charrette goes, I mean, I liked most of it, but they were showing the valley, a lot of it. It didn't show any pictures. It took me a while to find the pastry. And that's, you know,
There was
that's
no
kind of-
chocolate, so.
Correct, no chocolates. There wasn't a clog involved either, but it got mentioned.
And they gave good effort with the
Yeah.
creative, and I appreciate that, but also
Right.
SoCal, that's a client of theirs with, like SoCal, or, yeah, like San Luis Obispo, so I don't know, I was like,
And I like
it's different.
Abbey because they've been, and I'm still, Orange County and LA, they're coming, we need, but I like their idea, we need to go north, get those people to skip Paso and Pismo and come here. So I think that was a big plus for me on Abbey, too.
They were gonna kick it over to you one more time, if they said that. That was kind of the cute thing, I thought.
What was that? I'm sorry?
They kept saying, we're gonna kick it over to you.
Yeah,
And their keywords, each on the
Abbey?
Abbey on the creativity, social media, public, every one of them was the same thing. We're gonna use keywords, and they used the same points. When we asked them the question on the sunset, they never really answered how they were gonna differentiate with our destination marketing organization. They never answered the question really. They were going to collaborate, but it was never, how are they gonna be different? They never answered that question correctly for me.
So,
Just so you know, we do have one public comment, and we should open
Yeah.
it to public
Okay.
comment if anybody
Public
else
comment.
has any. So Brenda, if you want to.
good, I wanted to hear
Maybe come up
Brenda's
over
thoughts
here.
on this presentation.
Thank you, Zena and TAC Committee, and I'm Brenda Ball. And I didn't really come to make a comment on their presentations. Of course, I do have some thoughts, but the points I wanted to bring up was that three things. One, to consider, I started in marketing here in Solvang in 2006, and the budget was primarily in print. And as we're all aware, we have moved drastically from print into the digital world. And I would just like to ask that the dollars that Solvang spends goes more into the digital and not so heavily in print. The next thing I wanted to bring up was the crisis plan. As the person who researched and wrote the crisis plan that was presented to the city, I believe that was in 2018, 2017. I would just like to suggest that something be placed in there, that the visitor center be a main point in a crisis. Of course, we never hope we have one, but if we do have one, that's where the tourist is going to show up. And so it's vitally important, in my opinion, that the visitor center have a direct line or even a digital display that's controlled perhaps by the city that gives some information to the tourist in the event of a crisis. And the third point is that as I looked at these proposals
both for the marketing and for the visitor center. As I understood it, it looked like the information needed to come from the marketing agency to the visitor center. And I would like to suggest, I'm not talking about ad campaigns, I'm talking about the information about events, about businesses being open, about who's open late, that kind of information. I'd like to suggest that that needs to start at the visitor center, because the visitor center needs that information much earlier than a marketing agency can get it to the visitor center. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Anybody else want to make a public comment from marketing? No, so no other public comment.
Okay. So how do we want to do this? Vote again?
Everyone have
I don't
to
think
vote?
we should tally, I think we should do our 1 through, I really think we should do our 1 through 4 votes. So we understand who's a 4 and who's a 1, because I think that's a difference. We might have a lot of people that tally up a 4.
Or just start the top 3.
Well, how do you want to do that? How would you suggest we tally that up? Just write it?
I don't know,
Or-
I'm not, that's just,
Well,
we tallied
You wanna
last
take a
time,
name
and if
and-
we had too many.
Okay, so Tracy, are we doing top 3?
Okay,
Top 4 or top 3?
I can do either.
We have 3, don't we?
We have
We have
4.
four.
We have 4.
Yes, is there a public comment?
Yes.
But
Do I have to go to the podium?
person.
Yeah, is it on marketing services
Correct.
specifically? Yes.
Look at you. Thanks, you should be doing this. Okay.
But we have a public comment here.
You have one more public.
Oh, okay.
So thank you for allowing me to make a comment. My name is Vashti Wilson. I reside here in Solvang with my daughter Madison. So my undergrad is in marketing, communications, and PR. I actually, proposals that I did for Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi, and some other institutions all won first place. I do have an MBA and I have a master's in data science, so I do look at the analytics and things. I would just want to say before judging, because oftentimes, you know, companies will come and they'll make a very splashy presentation. But one of the best things is to look at the company that actually took the time to figure out what the spirit of the place is and to hold true to that. So you could speak in generalities, or that company that took the time to get very specific and to look at what your pain is, and where you can progress in a way that they can show you that path. So you can speak in platitudes and this is what I do, and I look at the metrics and all of that stuff, and it sounds great, it's really glitzy. Someone has to be quite adept at being able to look at the metrics and to be able to take the data and put it into a usable form. And that has to be done with a company that's willing to take that time, because it is a lot to get up to that point where the data then becomes useful. So I know you're getting ready to judge, and I would just ask you to consider what company took the time to get to know you and your need, and that also has processes in place that would be able to do actually what they have proposed to you today. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Changed the way I look at it, huh? All right, back to Tracy.
TJA is my first #1 choice because of the metrics, how they put everything together, and how they respond, and I thought they did an excellent job. And the biggest problem we've always had is how do we measure hotel stays against the marketing? And they're the only one that does that for us right now. And I've heard nothing but great things from up north as that goes. And the hoteliers love it because they know exactly what they're getting for their money. And that has been our biggest situation, is we talk about marketing money all the time, and who's getting money, how the dollars are spent.
So they're the ones that, wait, sorry, quick, Jackrabbit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's I mean, it's basically,
They had your dashboard.
well, they had a dashboard that fed a lot of other things.
Right.
But Jackrabbit is a vendor that you would just put into, it embeds in your website. So it's a company, just extra fee, but anybody can. use it.
But it hasn't been
Yeah.
done
Okay.
before.
Yeah.
We haven't been
Okay.
doing it for a long, long time, and a lot of money's been out the door. So that's my number one. My number two is the young lady who came. I think just the fact that she came from Virginia Beach, but her presentation was good, and the fact she's not gonna charge, you guys realize we were charged $5,000 last time, every time they spoke to council. $5,000, this is a no charge. So I love that fact. So that was and Abbey was my number three. They were just too happy for me. So I'm sorry. I thought I was gonna kick the ball.
TJA, Abbey, Vernon, and Charette.
I was Abbey, Schulte, Verdon, TJ.
I'm exactly the same as you.
Yeah? John?
I liked Abbey, Charette, and TJ.
Abbey, TJ, and Charette.
Okay, so it'd be the one with the least amount of points, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm thinking it's gonna be Abbey, but 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 7, 13, 1. Thank you. So Abbey came in at the lowest at 9. Charette and TJA tied at 15 and Vernon at 21. So if we base it off that, it would be Abbey would be our recommendation for the city.
So that was the count of all of the 7 votes times the number to clarify. That's why the highest is the worst, right? So
Correct, yes, yeah. You feel good about that
Comments?
recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. We're gonna give them the options, right? The city council, and they're obviously gonna pick their, have a voice in it maybe, or anyways.
You
Yeah,
were
they might not like
the
to do that.
advisory committee to city council, you were the ones who have been really hands-on in all of these proposals. They haven't invested
Right.
the same amount of research, so I would expect that they would be very heavily
Right.
reliant on your recommendations. So if you pass on that Abbey is the one recommended being moved forward, I would expect that I would actually do some pre-work with Abbey before even taking it to council. It's a short time frame, but to kind of start figuring out the contract terms, make sure we're on the same page, and then they would move forward for council consideration on the 13th. I can definitely attach the other 4 agencies who were runner-ups, just so that they have that information. But I think that this decision is probably going to be highly advised, so to speak.
Okay, well,
Can I ask a question? Have you done a referral have you actually researched them? Because when you hire an employee, you do a background check. Have we done a background check on them to see how their other organizations like them?
We have not made any calls, no.
Okay, okay. I just know when I did the RFPs, I got information up front, so I've already know what's going on some of them, so that's why I asked. And one of them turned a campaign in, that was a 215 campaign, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, so reference checks have not been done. So Chair, if you can remind me again of the tally we had.
The tally, yes. So Abbey came in with 9. Charette and TJA tied at 15. And Vernon came in 21.
It's a fairly significant spread of the score. if
we
anybody
need to
feels
vote?
strong enough, yes, I would like a vote on this one. So if anybody would like to make a motion that it be Abbey, then we'll move
Oh, we're gonna make a
forward with
motion, I'll make a motion that it's Abbey.
Second?
that. We'll take,
Member
paper.
Beard? No. Hamburg?
Yes.
Member Grenier absent. Member Brents?
Yes.
Member Martino?
Yes.
Member Jensen?
Yes.
Chair Schellenberger?
Yes.
Motion passes 5, 1 absent, and 1 no.
Okay, we found a strong recommendation. Thank you. With this, Chair, we can adjourn the special meeting at this time, 6:02. Thank you. And then we can roll right into the next meeting probably, since we have an audience here waiting on us. So we would call to order the regular meeting of the Tourism Advisory Committee.
6:02.
We'll take a really quick roll call just for the record.
Member Beard? Here. Member Hamburg?
Here.
Member Grenier? Absent. Member Brents?
Here.
Member Martino?
Here.
Member Jensen?
Here.
Chair Schellenberger?
Here.
Thank you.
Pledge of allegiance again?
Do we need another pledge?
No.
No.
But we can skip the pledge. Let's move on to approval of the consent agenda, which has just the approval of the agenda and the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
That was everyone.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, so next up, we have a couple of events applications. First one up is going to be the Santa Barbara County Veterans Foundation's Parade, or Salute to Veterans. And then we'll be following up with the Juneteenth event presentation. Just to remind everybody of where we are in this process is that after COVID, we've sort of revisited our special events guidelines, and those were taken to the city council to ensure that we have appropriate touch with this new committee that was formed following the pandemic, and now that we are having events again, our venues are obviously limited, but our events are also valuable. So part of the process, especially once the marketing manager is going to come on board with the city, will be to ensure that this committee gets involved in approval of all of the events, so that you can ensure that it's beneficial from tourism perspective, residents perspective, businesses perspective. So with that, I would like to invite Henry to come up over here and introduce us to the idea of what's being proposed. This is a Salute to Veterans, first parade proposed here in Solving. Last year it took place in Santa Ynez. So I'll let Henry just introduce the idea and what's being asked for.
Are you guys familiar with what I was going to talk about? Did you get a chance to look at the, okay. Just real quickly, I'm Henry Schulte. I farmed avocados in Santa Barbara for 47 years or something like that, and I retired, sold it all back in December, moved up here 5 years ago, and have never looked back. I mean, I love it up here. And so when I started this, it was about 10 years ago. There was a motorcycle club, and when I was trying to look for something that we could do to help the local veterans, I became a little disillusioned with some of the big organizations, and somehow the money was just going to parties, and it just wasn't being spent wisely. So I talked with the little motorcycle group we had, and I said, you know, what if I established a nonprofit? Would you guys get behind it? And so that's what we did. That's how it started, and then we started holding our events at the Santa Barbara Carriage Museum, and it just grew from there. We had a couple times when we probably topped about 1,000 people at the event. It was just really something. And so the whole focus for our foundation is to keep the money local. We're not big, we don't raise a fortune, but the idea is to keep the money for the local veterans, whether it's individuals or the smaller groups, whatever, but we want to keep it within the Santa Barbara County. So that's where we are. So we had the 2 years of COVID like everybody. We didn't do anything, and then last year at a very last minute, I was talking with my president and I said, you know, what if we did something up here? It might be a little bit easier. We can't do a parade down State Street. So let's just see if we can pull it off, and I don't know, San Ynez popped in the head because it was so tiny, and we could talk to the Mavericks as possibly hosting it so we wouldn't have to create too much work for us in such a short period of time. And so we were surprised. I mean, for the first time out, I thought it went really well. I don't know if any of you went over there, but we had quite a few hundred people. It was pretty good. I mean, for putting it together so rapidly, we had probably 20, 25 parade entrants, and it was good. So that's where we were last year, and then I don't want to say necessarily a falling out, but I was trying to get it nailed down at the Mavericks for this year, and I just couldn't get it. And so I started thinking about, what if I did it in Solvang? And that's where I am now. That's where I went to Xena, and that's where I started to put it together. And so I'm excited to see if we can pull it off, put the small parade, like the Christmas parade, so we don't get involved with the county roads, we don't tie things up. And then, you know, culminate like everybody into the park. You're probably all likely familiar with the Molly Ringwald Band, but I got them secured, and the purpose really is I really want to make this a big splash. I want to make this first one out as nice and as big as I can, try to pull in as many people as I can. And so with the band, we're going to have presentations, we're going to have some local veterans in the military come talk about it. And then we're going to put some vendors there. We're going to have local vendors of just local products. And then we're going to have, like we did last year, we had about 10 military nonprofits that were there so they can show and introduce people to what they're doing. And we'll have a little barbecue and what have you. So that's basically it. You know, I'm hoping we can bring it here. We're going to do whatever we can to work with the city, try to help. We don't want to just do this. I mean, we want to make this as a day of recognition for veterans, but we're hoping that we can really make this something for the city as well. We'll help with whatever we can, try to work with them, you know, whatever you guys would want from us or what we could do, because now this is my home and I really want to invest in it. So that's kind of a quick summary. You guys have any questions?
You were going to have merchants in the park, you said? Did I see
Yes.
that? What, and all nonprofits?
No, I would like to see if I could get some groups in there. I'd like to really just focus on local artisans and whatever, just to keep keep it local. But then, so there isn't that much space. So if I can get maybe 10 local artisans, and then the balance would be nonprofits. We'd just get them in there.
And you're a motorcycle guy, correct?
I used to be. Now I can barely walk, so I don't.
In the crowd, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it was a parade of motorcycles?
No, we worked with Pierre Clayson's down in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So what we did, Pierre Clayson's is the one that actually put on the parade. Then we ended up stepping in and helping them. And then when Pierre Clayson's, they would have the parade come down State Street, and they used to go over to the Fest Parker over there in that area, and they wouldn't get the people. And one day they came over to us, and we were just jamming. I mean, we had 1,000 people, and they're going, "Oh my God, this is where we should be." So then the last few years, we did this for 8 years down in Santa Barbara. So the last 2 or 3 years, Pierre Clayson's ended up taking and bringing the parade over to us, and that just exploded the event. The problem that we ran into, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it down there, but there's no parking, and it just ended up becoming a nightmare. And I think we lost a lot of people, or a lot of, not interest, but you just couldn't, no matter what we did, we tried to go to the college and try to get extra parking, and we just, it was okay. We were already looking to expand at that time, maybe even out to Earl Warren, to try to expand it.
And rain or shine?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
I talked with Al Salgi over here, and we were kind of thinking of that as an emergency backup. If it were to rain, at the Vets Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we could, fortunately now with the weather forecast, you'll be able to see, okay, on Saturday it's gonna rain, so we might have enough time to go ahead and try to move it over there, which I'd be really saddened, because I really wanna make this something really nice. So we're also going to try to see, you know, I think Tracy, you might have pointed out, but we were hoping to get a military flyover, which we had down on State Street.
Really?
But I guess Vandenberg now doesn't have any planes, so I don't know if we're gonna get maybe a helicopter flyover or something like that. We're gonna try for something along that line. And down there, we got, unless I can figure out how we could do it, but down there we had those paratroopers that come in, and I mean, they're really accurate, but they came down and landed in the baseball field right next to the Carriage Museum. And that's really cool too, so it'd be neat if we could try to pull something like that off. But if we were to do it where it's a safe landing over by the Mission, nobody would go over there and nobody would see them, so.
And Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have tents and people in the park.
It's gonna be busy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little crowded, I would think, because Molly Ringwald, they'll bring hundreds. Yeah,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What time is the parade from?
What time?
Yeah.
We're gonna have the parade start at 11, like the Christmas parade over down by the museum, the motorcycle museum, and then just come up. I think it's coming up to Copenhagen, down Copenhagen, and then hang a left, and so it'll be short. But and then the idea there is 11 to noon, then come over to the park, do the presentations. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. We do have what we call a pinup contest, and I know some people think immediately, oh, pinup contest, that's going to be something sort of little kinky. But it's just the girls go out, they've got polka dot dresses, they put their hair up, and they've actually generated last year, I think, in just the short order that they worked for us last year, they generated $5,000 just going out and collecting money. So they're a really good support group.
Are you gonna work with Pierre Clayson's foundation or
No.
Hazel Blankenship's at all, or
No.
will she come up at all?
No.
Okay,
We're going to be totally independent.
okay.
Will you enclose the park then? Are you
No,
planning?
I personally don't want to.
With liquor, did they see you were gonna sell beer?
Yeah, we're gonna have a
So-
section, you know,
Okay.
yeah, we'll have that.
Because that has to be.
Yeah, we'll have that section. What we thought we'd do is take that place where you have all the concrete benches, and we'll close that in, so that'll already be a great place where you can sit down and have your beer and then.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
It is the same weekend as Fall Fest, that is in Bealton, so it is the same weekend, so I think we won't have.
Oh, it
much-
is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is the same weekend as Fall Fest, that starts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But
And
we
we're
have a better
kinda-
band here.
We're kind of stuck with the date because Veterans Day is the day before. We don't want to
Right.
make this, you know, November 23rd or something.
Correct.
So, but I'd look to you guys, I mean, I'm relatively newcomer up here, and if you can think of any things that we need to fix or ideas or how we can expand it or make it improve the, you know, the foot traffic, as I was listening to the girl before, you know, yeah, let me know what we could do.
Great, sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Great. I think it should be a great event.
I'll make a
And honoring
motion.
our veterans.
I'll make a motion.
So let's just open it to public comments,
Oh,
since we
okay.
have others, so in case
Oh,
there's
sorry.
any public comments before making a motion. I
Any-
see no public comment. You can either go
I
straight.
see a pause.
What was the girls again?
Oh, pinup girls, they call them.
Okay, so I'm an Air Force veteran too. So I would just, you know, sometimes when people think of veterans, they think of men that just automatically, and I would just, that was the only thing that kind of raised my eyebrow, and I know you, like, you know, and it raises a certain amount of money, but especially in the climate right now, that was the only thing that popped up as a concern, having, how that would look in Solvang with, you know, if it got out that it was like pinup girls, along with the family-friendly vibe, that could be problematic.
You should see what they were though. I mean, it's not anything like what the word connotates, you know.
No, I get you, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if the message got out there, right, pinup girls in the park,
Yeah,
that especially related to a veterans event, that is both male and female, you know, because are you having pinup boys?
well, we can.
You can.
But it's funny you do raise that point, because I literally was laying in bed this morning thinking about it. trying to think of a way to shift the pinup girls to more military, I don't know.
people.
Yeah, military. I was. I really was trying to think of how I could shift that and still get the point across.
I mean, pinup girls, great. Pinup boys, too. You know, like just that equality kind of thing from it, and not the connotation that, because when you hear pinup girls, it's that negative connotation automatically, especially related to a veterans event in a family town.
Exactly. I did think of that. I will definitely explore. Sorry, I can't even feel my feet. Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah.
So committee, just so you know, this is kind of early in the stages. We want to bring it forward through the process of getting your comments, getting your recommendations, taking it to city council so that they have assurance if this is going to move forward. They propose it to be an annual event, so they can have assurance that they can really start working on the event. So all of the details will still get flashed out into the future. We don't have the exact number of everything at this point, but it's here for you to be sort of looked at in concept and get your recommendations for council.
It's going to be a lot of work and a lot of time, and we have to start making posters, flyers, you know, get sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm very nervous until I get, like I said, stamp of approval.
I'll make a motion, we approve the special event application of the first annual salute to the vets.
I second.
All in support? Aye.
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 Any abstains?
Right.
No?
No,
You better say yes, Tracy.
I'm just making sure.
6-0.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate
I'll
it.
be in touch with you regarding the council.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. So next up, we have the annual Juneteenth SYD event application review. So we have Vashti and Maddie here, if you'd like to come up. Just to let you know where this event is, I believe this is the third time you'd like to come up that it's occurring. I believe the first time was during COVID-19 where we just had some gatherings at the park. But given that this is becoming an annual occurrence and is likely going to grow, I wanted to give the opportunity to just kind of understand the program better. And then the next year we'll probably be taking it through a formal process of establishing it as an ongoing event. So,
yes. So, and this is Madison. So she's 9. And you want to speak real quick? Okay, you can have a seat. You don't understand. Okay, all right. So it started Juneteenth 3 years ago. We moved here about the same time. And for me, Juneteenth had just always been something that had been celebrated. As I said before, I was in the Air Force. I've lived in over 40 places. And I just expected a celebration to be happening. So when I was asking people, well, what are you doing for Juneteenth? Many people had no idea what I was talking about. So Juneteenth, it was officially made a holiday, a federal holiday last year, June 16th. And what it is that when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, enslaved Black Americans in Texas were not notified for 2 years afterward. And so when the generals went there and let them know that they had actually been free 2 years prior. So if one can imagine to be working for 2 years for free and not knowing that you could have had your freedom, you know, prior to, I can imagine how that would have felt. So the holiday is one to celebrate the remembrance of those enslaved Americans, but also an opportunity to kind of spread joy and have community and a kind of family fun event that honors and celebrates those in remembrance of, but also the present day community and family that you have. And so for our Juneteenth events, yes, it started out 3 years ago, approximately about 80 people that first event. It was with COVID, so we wanted to be sure we were respecting the COVID practices. And then the second year, it was about 140, 150 people. And then this third year, we're anticipating kind of the same, about a 150 to 200 is where we want to maintain it. And that is because it allows us to let the children still roam free, provide the educational aspects that we like to employ, and then some of the special considerations that we have. So we wanted to gradually build it up so that the integrity of the event could remain the same. What we do for Juneteenth is Madison has a business called Maddie's Treasure Box. Her business went viral about 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. And so so she got millions of impressions because every time they highlighted Madison, they highlighted her being in Solvang, California. It was a big deal because many people asked and were very surprised that this child, particularly this black child, would be in Solvang, California of all places. So it was a kind of oxymoron, if you will, and they were inquire about why we chose to move here and how the community has responded to her initiative. And so Madison was featured in CBS Evening News, Como Primetime, Access Hollywood, ABC News, The Today Show, Better Homes and Garden, Good Morning America, Good Morning American Writing as well, Washington Post, CBS News again, NBC, Yahoo News, Black News Alert, and it goes on. So it received a lot of millions of impressions for Solvang as far as positive, right? So diversity, inclusion, child-friendly, family-friendly, and all of this was connected to the tag Solvang. So she has a relatively large following. Her email list is approximately 14,000 people that routinely follow what she does. And so we do send out the event. This is the only event officially sponsored by Maddie's Treasure Box, to invite those that would like to come and meet Madison in person to do so and partake of this family-friendly event. And so what it is annually, we have this year a special exhibit called Our Ancestors' Garden. And so it will be life-size replicas of notable Black Americans, and then it will be displayed around a garden. And once you scan the QR code, it will take you to the history of that notable person. So when it comes to the marketing, because that's always, of course, my background, one of the things that I really looked at us having moved here was the fact that community is huge. So when I get asked why here, why I did this work here, it's because so many people in the community chose to openly, diligently, and commit to supporting Madison and what she is trying to do. And so when you look at having visitors, one of the hiccups has been families, right? So if you want to visit and you come here and you have the cultural aspects, the Danish, you come here and you go to a winery, but what do you do for the second visit, right? What do you do for the third visit? Because you may have already visited, some of the little shops. And so what keeps you coming back? Because if you look at your data, half of your people are first-time visitors, and then half are repeat. But that half that's the first-time visitors, why didn't they come back? And for many of them, it's childcare, that there's no place to take the children, right? So it lacks childcare for residents, but also for visitors. So Maddie's Treasure Box, that's sponsoring Juneteenth, is actually segueing into opening up a Maddie's World Play Place, where they will be able to take their child for 3 hours and peruse or visit one of the restaurants, the wineries, and it will also encourage hotel stays. So we have a multifaceted plan. The way that we get our client base and the way that we get our customer base is by those people that visit Juneteenth and that follow that, because it provides them incentive to actually come out here and visit and to see the area where Madison resides, and it also keeps them wanting to come back because they're trying to see what else she does next. So this is the only annual event that we do. It's the only public event we do, period. And we do that intentionally because we want people to take the time to really make it a trip and come here and visit. So far, we haven't released any marketing materials. We do that about 2.5 weeks ahead so we can make a big impact. But so far, just having this Juneteenth event has already brought over 30 hotel stays. So I think I went over everything. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and your information.
Okay.
For this one, we are still processing it as a small event, so we don't need a formal action at this point, but if it comes back next year and there is a more expanded scope, then we will put it through a more formal process going forward.
So we don't need to make a motion
So at this point, you
have
don't
it?
need to make a motion. This is just a kind of informational presentation. And if there's any desire in the future, there's no parades at this point, there's no real vendors, alcohol involved, so it's a pretty simple as far as venue for it. But if there's any public comment, we can take public comment. Anybody would like to speak?
I can just say I've participated the last 2 years, and it's been an amazing event and very educational. It has, so I'm happy.
Great.
Okay. Thank you. And we can move on to the next.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next item up is 4C, which is the discussion of 2 proposals for the visitor center management operations. The contract, which is currently with Cobbs and Marble, still is expiring at the end of June. So in your packet, in response to city-issued request for proposals, we received 2 proposals, one of which is from the Central Coast Marketing LLC. Brenda Ball is the contact and representative here today. And then the other one is from Susan Liu, and they're in process of formation of the LLC, which is named as Solving. You can do better. So with that, I would like to invite the committee to start this discussion. You have had an opportunity to review both proposals. So similar to the marketing proposals, looking for the committee's feedback. The representatives are here to answer any questions or make a short presentation to you if you would like. And then your recommendations will be taken to City Council for final approval. The desire would be to get the recommendation and approval on a similar timeline as the marketing contract, so have it at the council meeting on June 13th. That way we have a little bit of time to onboard whoever will be our next operator for the visitor center before the contract expires, and we have somebody in place for July 1st.
Are they each going to present?
We can, if you're interested in taking that way, that might be a good approach.
Yeah.
So, Brenda, do you want to say a few words?
I have a little bit if you'd like to hear.
Sure.
Thank you, Cheryl and TAC Committee, and thank you, Zena, for this opportunity. It's an honor to address you. As you know, I'm Brenda K. Ball, and I've served Solving in tourism marketing capacity since August of 2006. In August of 2019, when the Solving CVB was dismantled and I lost my job, I was out of work for 3 weeks when the City Hall called me and asked me if I would like to take on the visitor center. I was, to say the least, very shocked. I asked my husband what he thought. Since we've been married now 49 years, I value his opinion, and he said, why don't we do it? I think it'll be fun. So with less than a week's notice, we jumped in, and it was fun, and it's been a wow experience. And from September of 2019 until September of 2021, with a few months off there because of COVID, we did serve Solving. in a professional manner. We have a deeply rooted love of solving and an affection for its history and a passion for sharing its fun. As you're well aware, solving transports people to another time and place to enjoy a one-of-a-kind experience. Some are historic, some are timeless, and some are brand new, but always engaging. One main function of the Solving Visitor Center is to facilitate the visitor experience for visitors to Solving. As part of our staff training, we had regular tours of the Elverhoy Museum with Solving history lessons, and those were provided by Esther Jacobson Bates and by Linda Palmer. And we did that regularly, not just once. And we tried to take that interpretation to the Solving visitor. I'd like to share a few statistics with you. According to business.com article, and this was dated October 15th, 2021, it's a common business knowledge that it's cheaper to retain a current customer than it is to attract a new one. And of course, the visitor center the visitor is already there. Acquiring new customers costs 5 to 10 times more than selling to a current customer. And current customers spend a surprisingly 67% more on the average than those who are new to your business. So that's, in my opinion, what makes the visitor center so vitally important, is that you are there marketing to a visitor who already knows what they're in. But our job at the visitor center is to help them to see just how much there truly is in Solving to do, so that they will stay longer and that they will come back again. It's money well spent by the city of Solving. Since Solving depends heavily on the tourism dollars, it's important that we take this opportunity to share the stories about Solving. Not only that, but to be knowledgeable what is currently happening in Solving, about the retail businesses, about who's open late at night. One thing that's been expressed to me is that wine tasting rooms want to know, they get the question often is, where do we send people when they're finished wine tasting? Where are they going to go to eat? I'd like to see the dining guide, which I did provide. I provided it to the hoteliers, to every one of the hotels in Solving, so they know what the hotel dining places were open, what days they were closed. But the wine tasting rooms have also expressed an interest in that, especially if they're open on Monday and someone wants to know where to eat. They need to know who's open that day. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that this kind of information needs to start at the visitor center. So it's not merely just having someone in the visitor center to share the history of Solving, but it's having someone to go out in the community and gather this information. I don't expect the marketing team to want to provide some of their workers to go and do that at their rate. Whereas at the visitor center, it's much easier. You're in the heart of Solving. It's much easier to go and visit these places and get this information, to aggregate it into something that can be handed out. I don't recommend that we hand a dining guide to every visitor, but I do recommend that we give it to the businesses, because the businesses get these questions, especially when the visitor center is closed. And I think I have just about gone through digital displays. Since my career is in digital marketing, I would like to see the visitor center move into the digital age. While we definitely still need the experience and the stories and the history and the culture, we also need, as I mentioned, for crisis, I feel that's vitally necessary. But also we could have that information. I did produce something that was on the computer that ran day and night. When people came to the visitor center, they could look inside and they could see a slideshow of different businesses. It had their contact information. It had whether they were open late or not. So the visitor center can keep serving even after hours. And we can do that by utilizing digital media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda.
Can I ask a question, Brenda? Your cost, what is your time frame for how many hours? You want to go up there and so everybody can hear? What is your time frame for wanting to keep the visitor center open? What would your time frame be?
I believe I put in the proposal the hours of 10 to 6.
She has 10 to 6 in the proposal.
I do think that, at least in the summer, there's a real need to Friday and Saturday nights stay open till even later than that. It's not so necessary in the winter when the hours, when it gets dark earlier. While there are a few visitors that come as early as 9:30, there's not very many. In our experience, it's been that it's mostly the locals that are walking the street in the morning. So if we have digital displays and we have the round rack outside, I think we would serve the few visitors before 10. But I do think staying open till 6 and 6:30 on the weekends, especially in the summer, is vital. And I also put in there the double coverage. And that varies. It's a little hard to predict. But if there, some of the things we can predict, we know about Yule Fest. We know during the 2 weeks of the Christmas holiday, there needs to be double coverage. Pretty much during spring break, and nowadays spring break is not just 1 week, but maybe 3 weeks. So there's often a need for double coverage. If not the full day, at least part of the day.
So you have your insurance, everything included in your?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I would like to say, having done this, I based my budget on firsthand experience because I ran it entirely from the beginning as my own business, so I know what it costs to run it. And I did provide the things that I have mentioned in there, the dining guides and different things of that nature.
And you've done all those in the past?
Yes. And I also worked with the local organizations. For example, the chamber provided the map that we used. So we didn't create our own map, we used the chamber's map.
And how would you report, can I ask your reporting on the digital marketing? How would you do that reporting?
I did, I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to mention that. I did report to City Hall a number of times. I'd also like to state that this is the 7th proposal for the Visitor Center that I have given since 2019. And out of the 7 times, only 1 time was it taken away from me. And that was not due to any complaints of how we were handling the Visitor Center. As far as the reporting, I did collect the information. I have a form that I created online that we kept track of the visitors. We asked people where they were from, and I provided those reports to the City Hall. I don't have the number in front of me, and I don't recall how many of those I did, but I would say 5 or 6 that I reported to the city, and I'm willing to do that monthly if that's helpful. There were things we found out. For example, at the time we were doing the visitor center, surprisingly, the day that had the least number of visitors was Thursday. And but most of the stores are closed on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I thought perhaps over a period of time, businesses could see that perhaps they want to change what days they're closed because of the number of visitors. We could aggregate that over a period of time and present that to the chamber or to to the city might be useful information to the business owners.
Seeing it, I don't know if anybody else has a question. I have a few more.
I'm sorry, I didn't
I
understand.
have a few more questions if somebody
Okay.
else doesn't.
Go ahead.
On your technical aspect, can you tell us a little bit about what you would do on the technical side of, because I know reading through this, I'm seeing that you have a technical background. So can you tell me what you'd like to see?
Yes,
A little bit more done on the digital side, you were saying?
Yes, I have presented this to City Hall in the past, that I would like to remove the ad boards that are there, or we called them ad boards because at one time we did sell those as the solving CVB. I would like to take those down and replace those with digital. And the sky's the limit there. It's what would you like to see on those? Would you like to see the different businesses rotating through there? Would you like to see a map? Would you like to have one dedicated to attractions? What would you like to see on that? Because a digital display has so much of an advantage over print, because if something happened, we could instantly change the display. All it takes is me typing on my laptop and there it is. So it has a potential revenue stream. We could sell advertising there for the businesses. We could or we couldn't. Or we can just put every business that's in the DRC up there and let it rotate through. It would be an open billboard to over 100,000 people that come into the visitor center every year. And the advantage is, again, that you can see it from the outside at nighttime. So it's opportunity just waiting to be used. And it's very inexpensive in this case. It's very inexpensive. It's cheaper than running one of those ad promotions in Sunset Magazine. One. So it's not a question of can we afford it. It's are we ready to do that? And we all know the world's already gone digital. They're not waiting on us to decide. They went on without us. So we've got the opportunity to use it for an advantage to solving. Any other questions?
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to serve you. I've always enjoyed serving solving. Thank you.
I am really excited to be here. It's been a bit of a road getting here. My name is Susan Lee. It's been a little crazy, as we know, in solving. We changed a few times here lately in the last couple years. My team that is working at the Visitor Center currently, we're working under Cogs and Marble. The entire team also worked under the Visitors Bureau. We moved into the Visitor Center with Scott Shoemake and IDK, which also turned into Cogs and Marble. So we've moved and changed, and I believe that we have the ability to change and work with whatever new marketing team that you all choose. And we're really excited to do this. I will just say, I wasn't going to talk about this first, but since we've been talking about the digital age and the billboards in there, I will state I totally disagree with putting big flashy billboards up in the visitor center. And this is just my personal opinion about it. I think we are in the digital age, and I think everybody uses their phone. I think we've gone away from the big, huge billboards, and we don't need that now because people look to their phone for all of their information. I think it's money the city doesn't need to spend. I also think the space in the visitor center is very small, so if you walk in, I know most of you have all been in there, and it's not very deep, and if you come in there and there's a big blinding flashy light right in your face there, I just think it's too much. I do believe in it keeping some of the spaces in Solvang in the old world charm. There's that we need modern and the old world. I think we can have both. And I think keeping it just the way, I don't believe in the ad boards either as far as selling. I don't like selling pay for play. I think we should serve all of the businesses in Solvang equally. So that being said, I wanted to let you know, so my business has been filed. I filed for my business EIN number on April 25th. There's been some glitches, just so you know. It is pending with, we have sent it into the state. The state, what I was told, the state had a change in their system. And so at that time, it spat all of the businesses that had been submitted by LegalZoom, which is the company that I used, back out, and they've all had to be resubmitted. It is in there in the system currently right now, so it should be coming back hopefully very soon. They are a couple weeks behind, I was told, because they reset their system. But that kind of explains that. And if you have any other questions about that, I'm happy to answer that. I do believe my team currently right now is the best team to have in the visitor center. I have this picture. I was trying to think yesterday about what I wanted to say. And then something really fun happened in the visitor center just yesterday. Do you all mind me coming and showing you a little picture real quick? Is that okay? So this little family, you can see they all are so adorable. And we took this picture just yesterday. Do they look Danish or what? Yes. So they are this cute Danish family. And I was working in the visitor center. And it was about shift change time. And I was standing in the middle of the visitor center in my costume. And my dad had just come in, Dean. He had come in, but we were on like a little change. So he walks in and he comes behind the counter. And I was standing right in the middle. And this cute little family just starts walking by. And they turn and they see me in my costume. And I wave, and they start going, and the mom's talking to the kids. It's two boys she has with her. And mom, dad, 2 kids you just saw there. And so I'm waving, and I look at my dad, and I say, hey, that's a Danish family. He's like, how can you tell? I'm like, look at them, they're Danish. Apparently my glasses are a little bit better than his, because he wasn't sure. But I said, yeah, they are Danish. So he goes, okay. So he just starts talking out the door really loud, and he starts saying something in Danish. I don't know, Dad, what did you say?
I just said, goddag, goddag, kommer I fra Denmark? And they said, yeah, we come from Aarhus.
That's right, Aarhus. So they got so excited to have someone speaking Danish to them, so they turned and they came in the visitor center, and they spent about a half hour with us. And it was so much fun having this conversation, and we found out they had been traveling the world, basically the world, right? They'd gone to all these different countries and were telling us how great it is that everywhere they go, they meet someone who speaks Danish. So they were really excited when he started speaking Danish to them. And so then we kept talking to them, had this great time with them. He's speaking Danish. I'm picking up as much as I can. And by the time they left, and he had told them everything to go see in Solvang, because we found out they were just coming through to see the town. They didn't have time. They weren't going to stay. But he tells them, oh, you got to go get flæskesteg. And the little boy's like, flæskesteg. I don't know if you know what flæskesteg is, but it's a pork dinner, pork meal that's Danish. And this little boy, he's got to stay. So they decide they have to stay for flæskesteg. I think he told him that he had to go get some Fluedeballer, which you can ask him about Fluedeballer if you don't know what that is. The Danes love their Fluedeballer. It's one of the chocolates that they have in the bakeries and in Kim's store. And then he keeps telling me, you gotta go see Hans Christian Andersen, you gotta do this, do this. By the time they were leaving, they had decided they did have 3 more hours to spend in Solvang. And they walked out happy as pie. It was so much fun. And after they walked out, I looked at my dad and I said, which is Dean over there, sitting there, and I said, that is why we should be in here, because we make those kind of connections with people. And right after them, we had a Hispanic, and I won't get into detail too far with the storytelling with them, but we had a lovely Hispanic father and son come in, both grown up, and pretty soon they're wanting to learn how to speak Danish, and they're teaching us how to speak Spanish and telling us about. So my dad says, oh, we have Don Nachos down the street, because they wanted a restaurant, Mexican restaurant, and they start telling us what Don means, and then he wants to learn Danish, so my dad gives him the card. By the time they were about to leave, the rest of their family came. He goes running outside, the dad, and says, gets the rest of his family, who had just pulled up on a Surrey bike, and says, oh my gosh, you gotta come in here, we've met new friends. And so the whole family came in, and we had this great talk with them, and we were teaching them Danish, and they were teaching us Spanish. And so it was just 2 great experiences just yesterday, and that's the kind of experience that we have in there all the time. And that's what we think the visitor center is for. That is our goal, to give our visitors the best experience, a personal experience, where we connect with them and have fun with them. And of course, we give them all the right information that we can, answer their questions, and that's really important to us too. But the biggest thing for us is making those personal experiences for them. We are the first face for a lot of the visitors that come to Solvang. We're the first face they meet. So it's really important to us to set the right tone for them, give them the right information, and make them love Solvang as soon as they walk through the door. So I guess we've made it through several changes, like I said, and we're ready and willing to work with the next marketing team. And we believe that we will provide the right experience, and we would love to continue in this capacity serving Solvang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Are your hours steadfast at 9:30 to 5:30?
No, and in fact, we did choose that because we split the difference last time between the 10 and 6, because we do find. So for us this last year, I think because everything's kind of fluid with times because of COVID and just changes, we find that the second half, the end of the day, is when we have no one in there after 5. And we've found this year that there's more people coming in the morning. So we kind of, when we bid before, we went with 9:30 to 5:30 because I split the difference between 10 to 6. But of course, at the time too, I told the city council, we're willing to shift whatever time schedule that you all think is more appropriate, or that they do. You know, of course, we can shift to 6, 10 to 6, or 9 to 5. Whatever we think is best. I do kind of agree with Summer, maybe shifting a little bit later. If we see that happens, I would be happy to talk with you all and say, hey, you know, we're seeing, now that the summer hours are here, we do have more people a little bit later. We'd be happy to shift that, no problem.
I shifted my hours to 10.
To 10?
6 now instead of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Just seemed that way.
Yeah, and people come at 10 because the shops are opening then, but we find there still are some that get in a little bit earlier, and they love getting help mainly with breakfast and the bathroom, of course.
Can you go through your budget with me, and what does the number of unit when you have 48, what does that mean?
Oh, yes, so.
Can you go through that?
Yeah, sure. So what we did was I looked at shifts because we work in there. We tend to do the schedule. I'm doing the schedule currently. And they're 4-hour shifts normally. Of course, we put people in 8-hour shifts. So we just figured out how many shifts there are so how many regular staffing shifts there would be, and then managers staffing. So that would be me. I usually work about 3 days a week in there, and then we figured out the rest of the shifts.
Okay, so if you had 7 days a week at 8 hours a day, 4 shifts, that comes out to 56 hours instead of 48. Is that what you're saying?
Well, so the regular staffing is different than is separate from management staffing. So there's right under it, it says manager. So there's ambassador rate, regular staffing is 48. And then manager rate is just included into that. And we counted how many shifts the manager would have versus regular staffing.
So how many shifts would the manager work?
It's typically three per week.
In how many hours?
So 12.
3 12-hour days?
No, 12 hours total for the
12
week.
hours total.
3 4-hour shifts.
The wage doesn't seem like a lot of money you want to make. Can I ask about the wages?
The wages for
That you're paying?
staffing, we looked at $20 an hour. So it'd be 4 hour, it's $20 an hour. Would be 11 shifts per week for regular, and then there's the 3 shifts for the manager.
Can I say, this is what their budget is submitted by both of them, so I think we should just leave it to that, okay? I just think that that's the way it is. And
No, I'm
that's
just
what
trying
they-
to.
I know, but I mean, that's what they submit, so
Yeah.
we leave it to them.
Got it.
We don't have to break it down.
Got it.
It's not.
It's very clear to me, the budget.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or anything I can clarify or answer? Or?
It's good, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Do we open it to public comment?
You can
I don't know if
open
there's
it to
any.
public comment.
No.
I have one other person that hasn't spoken here with us. Nobody online.
Okay. You can hear that.
Committee, your discussion?
I think they both look great, and I thought both presentations were spot on. All things being the same, I would probably go with the low-cost provider.
This is the budget's coming from the city, is that accurate?
So the budget is coming from the city, which
Or
is.
who's paying, the city?
Yes, so that will be considered as final in June. Your recommendation is really to, similar as with the marketing services and stuff there, we had already determined where we wanted to see the budget. You got the proposals, and you would see what you could get for that money. This was proposed, just RFP sent out, it was up to the proposers to come up with what their proposal would cost.
I would say that both of the proposals were excellent proposals. Each of them brings something to the table. But the thing that I like more than anything else is the idea that we have a Danish family in the visitor center, and that they bring 13+ years experience actually on the job. And I like the idea that they speak Danish, and I like the idea that they bring a lot of energy to the business center, and of course, I love the accordion.
Is that a motion?
You all can continue to make comments as you want to, or you can make a motion. Chair, I
Thought we
would
were going
probably
around the
ask if
table.
anybody has
We're
any
still going around the
comments.
table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're both professionally done. I am going with all the transition that we're going through in here in the city. I just feel that it would be a clean they're so good at what they've been doing. I don't want to change right now. I just think we need to keep it rock steady, and that center, visitor center, has to be, it's our lead. It tells our story, and right now they tell the story, and they continue to tell the story consistently.
Tracy?
I have no comment.
No comment? No comment? Can we take a vote?
Okay.
Well, I ran out of the city council meeting.
If anybody would like to make a motion, you can do so.
Okay, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal from Solvang. However that's pronounced.
Okay, so there's a motion to accept the proposal from Solon Huge Hassett. Anything better?
I'll second.
There's a first and a second. If you could take, actually just do a roll call.
Member Beard?
No.
Member Handberg?
Yes.
Grenier, absent. Member Brents?
Yes.
Member Martino?
Yes.
Member Jensen?
Yes.
And Chair Schellenberger?
Yes.
Motion passes 5, 1 absent, 1 no. Can I have a comment now that we're done voting?
I would suggest that you make a comment maybe, because this item is basically closed since you voted. You can make a comment during your committee members.
Okay.
meetings.
Which would be now, right? Yeah.
Would be no.
So my question is that what if they don't get everything done that they're supposed to do to start a business on a timely basis? And if you don't have all that, you don't have insurance and you don't have liability. So I'm just kind of worried if all this isn't done on time, what happens? I guess that's my question.
I can comment on that. I just had to go fill out a thing for Danish Days, and the new California Biz page just came live, and we got kicked out of the same thing. Our paperwork came back, and I had to go back and reapply on there. And I'm sure it's a formality to get that. They're not going to, I don't think they deny anybody to get an EIN. I think it's just a matter of time.
So
honestly.
those,
But
just to
that's a good
answer
question.
the comment really quickly, that obviously there are multiple options in which we could go logistically to bridge any gaps if we needed to do so. It's our hope that everything is done and ready to just enter into a contract with the entity once it's legal in the system. But there are other bridge options, so when this proposal goes to, or your recommendation goes to the city council, that will be very transparent, and we'll be prepared to make whatever bridge gap options work in the meantime, which could be individual to individual contract and other options. So that would be my response, not just the logistics. And obviously, city council will know that there is that still pending issue that will need to be worked out before the city could enter into a contract with the entity as presented.
Okay.
I guess public, we have comments too. we're putting it out there for a director, right, or a tourist director at the, and did we confirm that we would have some input on that? As, are you guys hiring, the city hiring an employee, would we have input on that?
So there is an organizational structure, obviously, with it being a city employee, so there will be some processes that, you know, the city has to ensure goes through properly as an employment type of application. But obviously, just as, you know, just as planning commission or design review committee works with their planning manager, we're constantly in constant contact
Right.
with you, your
Just
impact.
point of, I mean, we did have some input on the city manager job initially. When one of the city managers, David's, when that went through, so there was a, I guess it wasn't a committee, but it was a group put together on that,
So, you know, we'll continue to have a discussion. You already had some discussion on the job description, so there's already been some input. It's something that I will work with, continue to work with the city attorney. But it is proposed to be a marketing manager at this point. That will be working with you, will be working closely with you. We'll continue to have continuous input and output from you on how they are performing, as well as how everything works with the new marketing firm and the visitor center.
I'm just, little comment here is just that here we hire some, it looks like we're hiring Abbey, which is a great, looks like a great team. So then the employee is a great plumber, but he's not a person in dealing in marketing, or maybe has, so I would like to say that it's not, we're not saying he's gonna be a plumber, but I'm just saying he's good at something, but we would like to say, is that person the marketing person that could segue to this new team that we have here? And that's all we're saying, we just want to have somebody that.
And I think that's where it's really important to remember the fact that we do have sort of a draft job descriptions of the duties. Along with that job description of the duties, there will also be the qualifications for the applicants who will be able to apply. So it would definitely be not a plumber, and not you know, not a maintenance worker, and not a city manager, and not a planning manager. It would be definitely the marketing manager. So the expectations for that position would be to come with experience and background and expertise to both bring that marketing specialty and expertise to the city, and also be able to be the qualified person to judge and work with and collaborate with your marketing agency and your visitor center.
Perfect. Nice to hear.
Any other comments? Okay. No? City staff comments?
No comments, just I'm really glad to see that we have worked through the proposals. It's very important now to dive into the new year. As I said before, look forward to bringing everyone on in July and kicking off the summer season.
Meeting adjourned. 7:09.
Yeah, shorter meetings next time.